I gotta close out Rue. Rue was hidden, so I didn't see it.
Hello, everyone.
What's up, guys? All right, Blaine. Where are you at?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to. Is this our final live stream of the year? It might be.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure. Like next, the closest one will be the 28th. I will not be in town for that. So
yeah, I figured.
Yeah,
at least one of us would be.
we might do another one, but
us.
this is probably the last one for 2024. So we're gonna do. I don't know. This was supposed to be a holiday one, a Christmassy one. I'm not drinking. I was drinking last night.
Is that what makes it Christmassy?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could whip up some hot cocoa.
That's not the same. You need eggnog and you need rum, and you need. It's a bit early. I gotta say, it's a bit early.
Celebrating like an American.
I mean, they do that in Canada too.
I know. Actually, give me 1 second. Sorry. You go ahead and open the stream and tell people what's up. Do the headphones.com thing. I'll be right back.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's just me. Quick, let's ensure that everything is broken. Everything, all of the spiciest takes happen now while Griffin's not here. The usual housekeeping stuff. This is all made possible by headphones.com. Remember to check headphones.com for your next audio purchase. What else? Check the description for the topics for future streams where you can contribute. We also have other stuff on the forum, good topics to discuss. I think there's an EQ section there in the forum. Our forum's been getting good, a lot better. So big thanks to folks who are participating there. What else? This will not be listed afterwards. It'll be left unlisted and it'll be put into a playlist. So for folks who want to follow along with these live streams, check the playlists on our YouTube page because it will show up there in the Noise Floor or the podcast section, but it will not show up as a video, which is how they were showing up before. And I think that's it. I'm joined by one listener and one Blaine who is pretending to not be here, but he is here.
Wait, I just remembered. I have the 4128 picture. I can just slap on top real quick.
Oh, perfect.
So he's with us in spirit.
I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season, full of joy and fun, and all those things that I love.
Yeah, the thumbnail of you opening the presents, you seem to be having so much fun. Truly,
so much fun. Yeah,
truly childlike joy.
Yeah, dude, I went to the Vancouver Aquarium last night.
Yeah, tell me about it. We were talking about that in the Discord server last night. Anyone who wants to see Resolve talk about his excursions into the real world, make sure you join the Discord server.
Yeah, no, I touched grass. That was interesting.
They had
they had basically like a adults only night.
Wait, that actually does sound fun.
And they're serving drinks and stuff like that. Like they had a couple bars set up, and then they had dance music as well. But it was there with some friends and my partner, and so the funny thing is, so like the people I was there with, they are professional dancers, right? Like they do this for a living, and we happen to be in an area where like they're blasting dance music, and so like this one guy he just starts breaking out like and starts like dancing, and everybody around starts to join, and it was one of those kind of surreal moments where it's like, wow, this is really happening right now. So I filmed some of it. I posted that in the in our Discord.
Oh, I didn't get to watch. I did see you posted a video.
Yeah. But it's funny because he's the kind of guy who just like he'll be just like walking around and like he'll be dancing everywhere he goes. Like he doesn't walk anywhere; he dances from place to place.
That's fun.
Yeah,
it's nice to have one of those in the crew.
Yeah, but anyways, gonna check out like all the fish and all the like we could see otters, seals. Watch a
Otters are
seal take
sick.
a big shit. That was awesome. Uh,
Dude, seals are so funny.
yeah.
One of the best moments of SoCal was Blaine and Constantine and I going on an excursion after, I think it was after day 2 on Sunday, just walking
Yeah.
around Newport Beach, and we went onto this pier, and there was a seal in the far off distance just absolutely screaming their head off, and they would do it every few seconds, and Constantine would imitate them every few seconds. It was
I would
great.
have liked to
Highlight
see
of the trip.
yeah, I would have liked to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, next time you see Constantine, just ask him to do his seal impression. He gets a lot of joy
Yeah.
from it, so I think he'll do it for you.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. I do a pretty good pig impression, pig squeal, but I'm not gonna do it now.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
In person, remind me. In person. In New York, remind me to do the pig squeal. On the Can Jam Show floor.
The squig pig in his natural habitat.
That's right. What are we talking about today for our Christmas stream?
So I was gonna wait until maybe Blaine showed up, see if we could like kill enough time for him to get here. He did say he'd be 10 minutes late. Yeah, we're about 6 minutes in. I think he'll probably join in the middle of this. So our first topic today is pretty simple. It's a timely question. What do you want for Christmas this year, Andrew?
Alleviation of suffering.
It's a tall order. I'm not sure Santa will be able to oblige. You might need to bring it down a little bit, be a little bit more realistic. All right.
Nightrise, the reason we don't want to list these
Can you see me?
is
Am I visible?
no.
No.
It's just as OBS. The reason we don't want oh, there we
Now
go.
you're
Hey,
visible.
we were right. We were right.
Well, he did
You
say he was
figured I
gonna
was I was getting a Santa hat.
Yeah.
Target was out of them. I had to go
Oh,
to fucking Joanne Fabrics.
Oh, you went out and got one?
Yes. I thought I
Right.
had one. I did not.
Well,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Nightrise. No, I was just gonna say like the a lot of folks couldn't understand that these were live. They wanted edited videos before, so we're like, okay, well we won't put these as videos for them to watch. This is just for you guys, the live stream folks.
well, Blaine joined just in time. We were just about to get into the first topic.
Yeah. So what do we want for Christmas? Let's see. Like, are you? Is this meant to be like products, or is this meant to be like aspirational?
No, whatever.
Like...
It's whatever you want to actually
Okay.
say you want it for Christmas.
I want peace, love, and understanding.
That's a good one to ask for. I think it's not gonna happen.
Is it?
But I mean,
I want.
it's a good thought.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like lately, I've been. I suppose my recent videos that have been more critical of products have raised the ire of certain parts of the community, and I suppose basically I was saying this earlier in Discord, but putting out a video where you're critical of a headphone product and Headphone getting upset, name a more iconic duo. And so I suppose in our sphere, the closest to peace, love, and understanding would be for the various different communities to get along and to be a bit more open-minded to differing perspectives on things.
And that's what you want for Christmas.
That's an aspirational thing, yeah. As far as like,
yeah.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're giving Santa some big tasks this year, bud. You don't want like a
Blaine, can you do this for us? I mean, other than that, it would be nice for. It's funny. I did a little insert for. Do you guys know What's New, the YouTube channel? He's a guy who does like audio, mostly like IEM reviews, but he does like audio and tech. What's New Studio? What's New? Anyways, he asked me to do a little insert for him, and one of the questions was like, what are some new, audio or tech products that you're looking forward to in the new year? And I was like, well, oh no, it was what's the coolest tech that came out this past year, and then what are you looking forward to in the new year? I was like, well, audio has failed us and everybody should feel shame. But in the new year, I'm hopeful for like a genuinely great noise canceling headphone to come out, because so far, like, it's just a sea of mediocrity, right? Like, there are some that are good at that job. There are some that sound good, like, decent.
I would say
But there's very
mediocrity is pretty much where they top out.
well,
It's like
well,
this
and
at least
also,
makes sense is the
yeah,
top.
yeah, and there are ones that are better for sound quality. Like I
Yeah,
fully grant that, but then they're not as good for the other things. Um, but also I had to remember that conversation that we had here. You and I had here, Griffin, on one of the recent live streams, where you were saying closebacks don't make sense because the ANC products have leakage compensation. And after going through all of them, no, that is wrong. It doesn't matter that they have leakage compensation.
Yeah,
They're fucking horrible.
yeah,
Like I
pretty
have
bad.
this is the prime example, right? The AirPods Max, and no, the tuning is still the same as it was before, and it's horrible. The treble is so bad.
It's really
So
bad.
yeah. So leakage compensation, just get different pads if you get to break the seal. Like I'm wearing glasses here with this is the FT1 closeback. I don't have
Okay,
any
but if they
problems
were
with the bass.
good ANC headphones, then they would be good.
Yes, absolutely. It's and like that's the thing. It's like the platform allows for them to potentially be good, and they never are.
But they aren't.
That's right. That's right. Like I'm fully on board conceptually with that being better than what you get with closebacks because of leakage compensation and DSP, right, and whatever else. But they don't exist yet, so still waiting on that.
It's kind of similar to
Yeah.
electrostats, honestly. On paper, the best driver type. In practice, can't think of one I recommend.
Yeah. No, I mean you could EQ it though, right? Like something that you'd recommend for somebody who EQs.
Yeah, but I mean, then you would need, and this is going to answer the reasons that's not the case. Someone says you wouldn't recommend the HE1. Well, no, it's $60,000 fucking dollars.
Your noise gate is a bit aggressive.
Oh, sorry about that. That's
Yeah. Maybe just getting closer to the mic would help.
Bring
No.
your Santa hat closer to us.
Okay, testing. Am I still aggressive?
Yeah. I mean,
No.
yes, you are still aggressive, but I think your noise gate's probably better.
Oh, he's fine.
Okay, sick.
Blaine is the
Sorry,
definition of aggressive. He threatens you with knives.
I mean, I haven't actually done that frequently. This is more of a meme than anything. I
But
did
you have
threaten
done
to skin
that.
you alive, though.
Yeah. And to hunt me for sport.
I didn't threaten to do that. I said I was going to do that. They're different.
Yes, but you didn't because, reality.
Anyway, whatever you were saying about electrostats.
Well, no, I mean, it's just like, what is on the market that is an electrostat that's worth buying? Name one. You can't.
They really need to do an HE1 that's like, $8,000 without the stupid, like they'd
Or
sell
maybe
a ton
like
of those.
$2,000.
Okay, yeah, of course, but like remember they want to make money. They could make a ton of money by selling it at $8,000.
Yeah, I mean the HE 0.23 or whatever, or 0.25.
Without the marble, without the stupid tubes. You could do one solid state. It doesn't need to have tubes, right? The tubes are decorative in that anyways, because like I cannot imagine a function for the tubes in that, given how low the harmonic distortion is.
Well, I mean, the function there may well be that they just wanted to have deliberately low feedback, and tubes are more linear with very low feedback. Now, why they would want that, I don't know. Although, admittedly, they are driving a capacitive load. Anyway, this is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
We all want Orpheus, but cheap.
Yeah.
And by cheap, we mean
Griffin
Sundara
doesn't want
price,
that.
or Susvara price. But they'll never give it to us because that's against the whole point of the Orpheus.
I did
And
talk
that's
to
sad.
somebody at Sennheiser who was working at Sennheiser at the time. I don't think they are anymore, but who said, "Yeah, this is what everybody wants." Because I pitched that, I was like, "Guys, do this," and they're like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is
if
what
they
everybody
did,
wants."
they would basically just mint MSRP times the number of people who have
Exactly.
a
Make so much money.
Susvara time
Yeah.
money. So it's like probably an easy $8-10 million at least.
Just like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. They should connect with us for consultation on that. You could reach out to us.
And it should be an exclusive of headphones.com.
There you go.
The number one place to learn about and buy audio equipment.
It would not be an exclusive, but it's still a good idea. All right.
So Andrew has not given a real answer to the question.
No,
yet.
I have not. Socks?
I think
Stocks. I'm gonna go with socks.
Yeah. Good
and
answer.
they have to be they have to be fun socks, not just like basic
Oh,
boring ass socks. Like they have to have
unexpected.
yeah, that's the only personality that I actually have. It's in
You're a
the
fun sock guy?
I am a fun sock guy. I'm not wearing them right now, but I usually wear fun socks. Yeah, like I have socks that have like boom boxes on them. I have
I do
socks that
too.
have like oh, see, there you go. Yeah, I
I
have
have
socks
socks
with
that have
penguins
headphones
on
on
them.
them too.
Yeah.
I don't
So
have socks.
okay. Anyways, I'm definitely socks that, that have personality. It's the
Okay.
one area where I get to express joy and
You
nobody
went from
can see it.
asking for something very big and hard to fulfill to asking for something very humble.
Yeah. What about you? What about you?
So there's kind of like a what I want and won't get, and what I want and will get. What I want and probably will get is I want a bass. I haven't had one for a while. I sold it when I moved to New York, and then my brother played bass. So whenever I was recording or anything, I would just use his. But I haven't had one for a while. So I asked my partner to just grab me whatever like cheap Squire bass she could. So I think I'm getting that. I went ahead for myself and splurged and bought my favorite luxury soap, which is it's like a hand soap with a rosemary and mint scent that I really like.
You would be a rosemary person.
Yeah, it smells good.
What
But yeah.
Rosemary didn't know.
God, you're so annoying. Always got to come back to like 3 topics all around philosophy.
Well,
That was a good one, though. That was a good one. I like
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. I'm not expecting much. I mean, I'm an adult, so I don't
Yeah.
expect this to be lavished with gifts like I
For a
was
second, I
when
thought
was a
that
child.
was the soap that you had in your hand and you were about to drink it.
No,
Honestly,
this
I
is
thought that listener
is
was just
green
straight up
tea.
drinking NyQuil.
No, this is
I mean,
jasmine
that
green
looks like my
tea.
NyQuil bottle.
Yeah.
You have a big NyQuil bottle.
I do? I thought that was the normal size for a NyQuil bottle.
This is pretty big. It's
Yeah.
like the size of my head. No, this is
Blaine
It's
goes
the only
hard
way
on NyQuil.
to make lean.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it's the only way to quiet the voices.
Vale asks P or J? P.
What? Oh, P. What?
Vale in chat asks P or J, and I say P.
I agree.
Real
What does
ones
it mean?
understand. It's
I
the
see.
kind of bass. Fender makes 2 kind of bass.
Oh, I
Bass
see.
and jazz bass, and I asked for a precision bass.
Now, here's a different question: P, S, or Q?
Q.
Okay.
That's
filter types, right?
No.
No? What is it?
We don't need to go into it. I thought Blaine would get it.
No, listen, I'm trying to, this is my Christmas present to Griffin, is not engaging on anything for the first half hour of this stream that will make Griffin unhappy.
Oh, so we don't need to get into logic proofs.
Exactly.
Oh,
Gotcha.
got it. Well,
No.
thanks, Blaine. That's a very generous Christmas present.
Yep, you've got 21 minutes left.
All right.
Awesome.
And Blaine, what do you want for Christmas?
So what I want is something that doesn't seem to be a product, but I really want it. I want an overhead lighting fixture that's like one of those sun lamps, like the ones that help with seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to make my own from like lizard lamps.
Do you have that issue?
Seasonal affective disorder? Yeah, somewhat. Also, I'm just always looking to juice myself up.
Right. Have you tried cocaine?
No, but I have tried amphetamines.
Fun. Yeah.
Prescribed.
Highly recommended.
I would say it was a good choice.
Yeah.
So that's not an endorsed position of headphones.com, however. We do not endorse amphetamines unless they are prescribed by your doctor. Actually, wait, should we endorse them even then? Let's just not endorse any drugs.
I think that's probably the safest route. Yeah.
I endorse drugs.
Well, Andrew's endorsement does not reflect the endorsement of headphones.com.
It's the
Cameron
only way to
wants
get
a
to the
differential probe for Christmas. Just make your own, man. It's literally just a fucking common mode amplifier. Or not common mode amplifier, differential amplifier. The opposite of common mode. Well, make your own and make it high voltage.
All right. Oh, he's doing a power conditioner vid. Yeah, I've seen your pings on that, Cameron.
Yeah,
don't
he's
have
trying to
this.
get a bunch of stuff in, which
I mean,
I
you
respect.
could
There's
just make
very little information about these devices out there.
I mean, you could just have like a voltage divider in front of it. Like that's what he
Also,
who
why
shall
is
not be named
Cameron
did when he measured.
here?
What?
Why isn't
What?
Cameron here? Like
Yeah,
here?
Oh yeah,
that's a
why
good
isn't
question.
Cameron here?
That's a good question,
Cameron, do you
Cameron.
want to join the stream?
What are you doing, Cameron?
I mean, he might be doing Christmas things.
He might be editing.
Because
You're always
you have
invited.
a standing invitation.
You're in the. All right. You have the link. Just join.
I'll send you a new embed.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's only one member of our staff who doesn't have a standing invitation to join.
And that's you.
No, it's Taryn because his shirt would blind people.
That's true. It would. I think
Also,
I think we should do more. With
I
Taryn.
would love to do a stream with Taryn.
He can give
having
additional
Taryn
perspectives.
I mean, you guys think I'm a brand risk?
No, you are.
First of all, yeah,
am.
you definitely are.
Taryn is more of a brand risk.
I don't know that's
I
true.
don't think that. I don't think that he is. I think he conducts himself quite professionally, and he just happens to wear very like loud clothing.
Loud's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Colorful, vivid, vivacious. They reflect his inner self very well.
And it might be good because it can provide it can balance out, some of the cynicism and the darkness that exists.
Yeah, I've got my work cut out for me. Also, has Cameron joined?
No,
Mark has given us a
he's
new
not.
name for our second favorite listen more. He's no longer Taryn, he's Taryn.
A lot of people
Why?
they make that our second favorite listen more. Why you gotta do that? That's not fair. We appreciate them both.
I don't know if it's accurate either.
It's just not fair.
Life isn't fair.
He spelled it like his nephew's name. Need to set up
favorite.
camera real quick. All right, well.
Were you about to say it's like picking favorite children?
Yes.
I would totally have a favorite child.
Yeah, you would.
You definitely
But it'd be
would.
the best one, not the first one.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's I feel like if you're just gonna pick the first one.
Dude, a lot of people do, and it fucks with me. It's like, or they either pick the first one or the last one, and I'm like, bro, you gotta sort by quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta sort by best selling.
Meritocracy. Cameron's still not in. So
Hobby Talk actually has a half of a good idea here. 4 subwoofers, 3 premium cables, 2 power speakers, and a FLAC file discography. 2 of those are good.
But can you sing it?
Well, I mean, I don't think it has the right syllable count. You can try singing it.
No. And
it's like the 5 Golden Rings song, right?
Yes.
That's the song. Yeah.
Partridge
I don't
in
know
a
the
Pear
name
Tree,
of that song.
etc.
Actually, this is something I want to talk about with you guys. That I think we've handled this topic. I don't want to move on to the next one because I want to get Cameron's answer to this. But in the meantime, what is y'all's opinion on Christmas music?
I have a take on this. I have been out in the world, I have come to a take that I believe should be passed into criminal law. I think it should be illegal.
Out in the world, I have come to a take.
Yeah, no. I think it should be illegal and punishable by jail time for stores to play covers or renditions of a Christmas song. Because what I've realized is what really makes it truly insanity inducing isn't that they play a lot of Christmas music. It's that they play like 4 Christmas songs, but with 7 million different permutations of them, and it feels like you're taking fucking crazy pills.
Yeah.
It is absolutely hellish.
I co-sign this take, actually. Not for the same reason, but because I've realized that there is very clearly a dichotomy between good Christmas music and bad Christmas music. And good Christmas music is basically always the original rendition.
I kind of disagree.
Yeah?
But I do generally agree
I
with the
see you haven't
position.
heard the Muzak version of All I
No,
Want for
like
Christmas Is
I
You in
I do
Target.
generally agree with that with that position, but I don't agree that the best renditions are always
They're not always the
I said
original. I think you
most.
should just
I
have to
said
pick
most.
one.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's really the take I should have here. You can, if you're found to have played 2 different versions of any Christmas song over the course of the entirety of winter, like, the manager in charge gets arrested and your firm pays a $1 million fine.
I increasingly like this take, and I already
So
liked it at the beginning.
yeah.
Hmm.
What I do like about it, and this is something that I've come to more recently, because I used to always hate all Christmas music and all
They are
holidays and
indicative
all
of joy, so it makes
yeah.
sense.
But what I do actually really appreciate about it is an opportunity for um a lot of musicians who and singers who are really good musicians who don't generally make good music to perform good music. Um
No, I agree.
because you get what I mean, right? There's a lot of them that are actually very talented, but they make producer based music that
Bro
isn't
has finally
necessarily
watched the episode of The Masked Singer where they find out that T-Pain was on it.
T-Pain is a great example. But I was thinking actually more along the lines of like well, I was thinking more along the lines of like the Christmas songs that actually have a lot of musical sophistication, like much more so than the simple ones, the simple catchy ones. Like they're fun, whatever. But like there are some that actually are genuinely quite good and well written, and
Yeah.
to have those be performed by really talented musicians is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because a
mean,
lot of
it's
those
not always
songs
the
are
first that are the
old.
best. It's the permutations upon them will drive you to pure insanity. Like,
Yeah,
imagine listening to 7 different versions of Jingle Bells back to back.
Well, that's the
yeah,
thing though, because I think some of them are just less good, even if you like pare it down to its like whether it's the original or just like the actual song itself. Like I feel like Jingle Bells is one of those where like I've not really heard a version that is great. It's not really a great
no,
song. It's a
it's not
very
a great song.
singable song, but like it's not like
Christmas song tier list
chestnuts
as the
roasting
end
on
of
an
the
open
episode.
fire or something like that.
Oh,
Sorry, what'd you say?
Christmas song tier
Christmas
list.
song tier list as the end of the episode bit.
Okay, but just what
We
is
can do
your
that.
favorite Christmas song? Because I've been trying to. There's one that I
It's
really
Chris
like. I can't remember
it's
the name of
Christmas
it.
time is here, Vince Guaraldi, and if you answer anything else, you're wrong.
Mine is the Carol of the Bells.
Mine is Oh Holy Night. But there was one that I heard not that long
Oh,
ago
that's a good one.
that was that whatever the version of it was really really good. And I was like, wow, this is they've gone hard on the harmonies with this one.
Hmm.
But I can't remember the name of it.
I also have a soft spot for Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney because that song's weird.
I like weird.
Yeah. What about you, chat?
Bad Santa Marathon will soon commence. That is the best Christmas movie.
I've
Bad
never
That's not
Santa.
seen that
true.
movie.
That's not true. My family's traditional Christmas movie is the objectively best Christmas movie.
What is
Don't
it?
say Die Hard.
It's not Die Hard, it's Rare Exports.
Rare exports.
Never
It's a
even heard
Finnish Christmas comedy horror film for children.
Okay,
For
just looking at
children
the
at the end
poster,
of that.
I need this in my life.
That
I
sounds
told you,
cool.
it's objectively the best.
I mean, it's hard to beat Bad Santa, but
No,
I'm
it's down.
I'm down.
You have got to see it.
I was gonna say
Okay.
Home Alone is actually a very good Christmas movie. And I actually kind of I stand Home Alone 3 as not the
Is that the
best.
one where his dad gets rich?
No, no. Home Alone
God, how
3
many?
features a different kid entirely.
Wait, is Jingle All the Way the one where Arnie punches a reindeer?
Think so. Does he punch a
Okay.
reindeer? You mean Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? That's a good one
Yeah.
too. That's
Yeah.
that's a
It's not
a
as good
90s
as Bad Santa though.
I've never seen
Home
Bad
Alone
Santa.
3 is
I'm willing to
the
be proven
only
wrong.
Home Alone film not set during Christmas.
I feel like
Yeah.
I can't remember the main character. But Billy Bob Thornton's character is my spirit animal.
Oh, you know what? Last Christmas. That's a good Christmas song. That's
Hmm.
one of the good ones. It is like actually a good song. Although I've heard a few renditions of it after the original that might actually be improvements. But that kind of speaks to it being a good song, you know?
Hobby Talk says Mean Girls. Is that a Christmas movie?
There is Christmas in
Well,
it.
I mean, if Home Alone 3, which isn't even during Christmas, is a Christmas movie, then
Is it
apparently
just
Mean Girls is too.
do you count just like the movies that you watch during Christmas time? So like you could include Harry Potter in
Yeah.
that too, right?
Yeah. Harry Potter, I would say at this point is kind of a Christmas movie for
Yeah.
how often it like is played during Christmas. Like they
Really?
do a marathon every year
Yeah.
on one of the
Really?
channels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The like
But those are good
iconic
movies.
like film thing that I usually think of as being Christmassy but not Christmas is Lord of the Rings. I often watch that around Christmas or New Year's.
Yeah.
Great movies.
Yeah, they hold up. I watched them recently while I had COVID in Bogota.
Oh
The
God.
director's
They had
cut
nothing else
is
I could do.
extremely long but good.
Yeah.
I only saw them recently, like within the last 2-3 years for the first time.
Really?
Ridiculous how good those movies are
Yeah,
and how
they
well
hold
they
up.
hold up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's very clear the impact they had on like movies and film and TV
Oh yeah.
after
Yeah.
their creation.
Yeah.
And I think a
I watched
positive one,
this
unlike
thing
some
on
other
Christmas.
highly influential films. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Should we move on to the next topic? Because fuck Christmas.
So
this
are
is-
we not getting a Cameron then? Is he not coming on then?
He has not. There is no.
He said he needed to
Request.
set up his camera and stuff.
Is he
Guess
not
we're starting without him.
Is he not coming on then?
Well, we've already started, but I guess we can move on and we'll ask him when he comes.
Oh wait, actually, I have a short bit first because of you
Please.
being a Rosemary boy.
Go for it.
So,
Rosemary.
I mean, Griffin is like Rosemary, and what was it that you had
The
for
soap?
your yeah.
Rosemary and mint.
Yeah, I mean those seem very you is all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
But I think that it would be interesting to figure out what Andrews are, because I feel like it's
For
going to
what?
be not what you think. For
Whiskey and
scents.
sandalwood.
Yeah, but that's just the stereotype. I feel like Andrew actually likes cinnamon or some shit. You know, I feel like he's gonna
I don't
subvert
have
expectations.
I don't have a preferred scent. I
Oh,
don't
that's
have.
lame.
That's actually probably the Andrew answer.
Well,
That
no,
is
but
the
like
very Andrew answer.
I don't dislike nice. Like I like a nice eucalyptus, right? But like
Eucalyptus is up
Eucalyptus?
there for me.
yeah, but I'm not
Eucalyptus
like
is in my top 2. It is after
Yeah.
only lavender.
My body wash
Lavender's
is
nice.
eucalyptus and mint.
Sage. I like a good sage.
Oh, I don't like sage.
Sagebrush because I grew up surrounded by sagebrush. You know,
Oh.
in the desert.
Interesting.
Yeah.
TMI, guys. What?
I mean,
Yeah, I think because I said I use this body wash.
tell me more about how you do what you.
I would never elect to tell you more than that.
I actually don't know what the scent of my body wash is, but I like it a lot.
Like before or after you've used it?
Both?
What kind of what?
No, cedarwood.
I'm just trying to
and-
creep out the chat.
Cedarwood and I can never pronounce this. Hyacinth?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
No,
Really
I
nice
Cedar does
combination.
smell very good.
yeah, cedar's good. Yeah, I used to have one of those like diffuser things. You put the oil in, and then like the oil scents the.
Yeah, the
The
ones
room.
that give you asthma.
Yeah, that's why I stopped using it.
Yeah, I can't use those because I have a cat.
Wait, it's technically like a humidifier, and living in Vancouver, that's the opposite of what you need.
Speak for yourself. I would actually like it to be more humid than it generally is around here.
Fuck that.
Interesting.
It's so humid here. It's humid but cold.
Yeah, that's the combo I want. It's like maximum
I
thermal
want
conductivity.
dry and cold.
Yeah, because you don't run as hot as I do.
Cold
I
is
need the heat
awful.
sinking for my brain.
Dry and cold is what I have right now. We just got our first snow, and we were burning a fire for a long time last night, and it got so dry in here. was kind of nice, but
You know what on the note of like, well, so someone asked, what are they talking about? We're stalling for time while Cameron tries to get his camera working. He is in chat. He says he's working on it. So we're trying to stall for time. But speaking of respiratory illnesses and things that I wish I could have, I fucking miss like just having an open fire. Like I know that objectively it increases my chance of like getting a respiratory cancer by like 0.001% every single time. But it's so cozy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that anyways. I may as
Same.
well have
Why
a
are you
fire.
getting a respiratory cancer?
Oh, because I have the acid in the lungs issue.
I have
keep
that,
telling
and
you,
I
you really
smoke.
need to uninvert that.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yep. But a house with a fireplace. This is the first time I've had it as an adult, and it's very nice. Very nice. It is all coming together right now because we just had our first snow. So
I legitimately sometimes lay in front of my gas fireplace and just like fucking bathe in the heat.
yeah, it's nice.
This is painting quite the picture. This is Blaine
Yeah,
bathing
on a
in front of the
bearskin
fireplace.
rug, yeah. Just going for the full 1980s seduction tactics.
Wearing just that Santa hat.
Jesus Christ.
Gross.
This is somebody can make this fan fiction. It's
Nobody does fan fiction to me, and that's for the best.
I don't know that that's true. You just don't know about it.
I hope it's true.
I think that the thing is, people text me whenever someone does something weird about me online, so I would definitely know.
But I have on my desktop, somebody wrote the Frank Jackson resolve.
Well, okay, listen, I paid someone to write fan fiction about you. That's not the same.
So you should pay someone to write fan fiction about you.
I don't want someone to write fan fiction about me.
Oh, okay.
That's a bad idea.
All right, somebody write fan fiction about Blaine. Or create
Please don't.
Challenge accepted in chat.
Yeah. Create fan fiction artwork. Probably not the picture that was just described.
Chat's just like, please get Cameron in.
Cameron.
Can't take the stalling.
So bad.
If you're gonna delay, let's talk about the Cubs. Are the Cubs having a good season?
I don't want to. No. Is that baseball? No.
Is that baseball?
No, baseball is no.
Shipping of Blaine in HD 800. Okay. You may not have my interest, but you have my attention. So if you end up making that, I would like to see how unhinged that is.
Wait, what?
A fanfic about Blaine and his HD 800.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Don't comment on
how can the Cubs be having a good
or you be messaged by strange men about what does that even mean?
Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. Okay.
I
mean, you know what those words mean.
Yeah, I don't understand the. Is it like don't tempt fate about fiction?
Mark, that's.
Oh no.
I don't think that I think that I am fully a bear in terms of my appearance.
Okay, let's move on. So the next question is, if you had $1 million, would your at-home setup change? And
wait,
how?
can we play like the opening of "If I Had $1 Million" by Bare Naked Ladies, or will we get DMCA'd?
Yeah,
we will absolutely get DMCA'd, even though we're not monetizing.
God damn it!
So if I had $1 million, that would work as a partial down payment on a house here in Vancouver. So $1 million doesn't really get
you can consider a part of upgrading your audio setup, because you would probably get speakers that could fit one of the spaces in that home.
And a chair.
A chair. I could get a chair and put a subwoofer underneath it.
You can get a chair, you can get a couch, you can get all sorts of furniture that you simply can't have in your little tin can home.
That's right. I could consider upgrading my apartment, and then that would make it possible to have better audio setups.
So you would literally you would change nothing is your answer. If you were just endowed with $1 million right now,
Oh,
There
I
would
would
be no
probably
change.
I'd probably buy that small Kef subwoofer. That's it.
Bro.
What? What else
Only
would I
one?
do? Fine, 2. I only have
Only
space for
2? You know what the number is. The number
Okay,
is
let's say $1 million US, if that changes anything. So that's like 1.5 million Canadian.
Yeah,
So
I
you could afford a house and a speaker.
Yeah, so I'd buy a house and a Kef subwoofer. No, I actually would probably get the Blade, whatever the Blade 2 meta is. Or like if I could buy any speaker, I mean, the Genelecs, because like, okay, my only issue with the Blade is they're huge and kind of gaudy. Like they don't look
And
bad.
so you
but
would
they
get in return for like, sorry, in an alternative, you would get what, like the 8341 or the 8361?
Yeah, yeah. Or well, okay, I actually really like the look of the LS60. That is a bit of me. Very much. So maybe the LS60. That's something that I'd be able to put even in my existing apartment, right? And is not like out of the realm of possibility for me now. But I love the way that looks.
So you'd get
So
an
I'd even
LS60 and a cube,
I don't know if
or
I would
no?
get the cube. Maybe just an LS60. But LS60 or Genelec, because again, these are furniture, right? So you got to consider like, what it'll
Well, it
look like.
depends what room they're in.
It's
'Cause
also
if
true, yeah.
if you're putting it in a house, there can be a dedicated listening room that
Well, so someone says you like the LS60 but not the Blade. I like the Blade. I just prefer the look of the LS60. I've heard both of them. I like the sound of both of them. I like the look of the LS60 more. It's just this simple, lean, gray, no nonsense. Like, yeah,
Of course, you like the ugliest LS60.
yeah. It's the most unassuming, right?
Okay. So
The
nothing for headphones?
Genelecs look good too, I think. Nothing for
Okay.
headphones? I mean, probably not. What a Rune subscription? Maybe.
That's actually a pretty good answer, considering that is like not a small
good.
expense, but it is
No, and they
one that is a
I'll
big
get the
quality of
lifetime,
life
right?
upgrade.
Yeah. And they have really good like EQ software there, right? Yeah. Like would I buy more measurement rigs? Maybe.
You haven't bought
Maybe
any measurement rigs to begin with.
that's what I'm saying. Would I buy measurement rigs like a HMS or something, maybe? Oh, Cameron has
Oh yeah, you want to send me the
I will send you an embed. Yeah, one second.
embed?
Greetings, Cameron.
Cameroon.
You are muted. Hello.
I can't hear you.
Okay, let's be clear. It's okay when it works.
So mean.
Jesus Christ, there's a bug. Not sure what that was.
It's very clear though.
But I'm
Yeah.
What's up, man?
How's everyone doing?
Doing good.
Merry
Glad to
Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, and it looks like you made it into the stream. Okay, so I think we're all good.
Good stuff.
Okay,
Can we
so
just dash back to the original topic for a second? What does
yes,
Cameron want for
absolutely. I'm going to do
Christmas?
that right now.
A high voltage differential probe and mains load box at the moment.
That's on your wish list.
Yeah.
Do you think Santa's going to get those things for you this year?
Probably not. No, I'm probably going to have to buy them myself, unfortunately. But that's just how it goes.
Just do a voltage divider, man. Like, all right, how much loading are you trying to do on the power conditioners?
2,000 watts.
That's quite a lot of load. Are you trying to do like reactive load shit, or are you just doing resistive?
Just resistive. I'm just looking. I've got equipment now to test mains noise. I've got a on filter MSN 17, which is really good, so I can actually look at the noise just on the scope. But I want to be able to test the mains impedance as well, or the impedance effect of the conditioners. And so I need to get a load box and a high voltage differential probe, ideally.
Spendy.
Yeah.
It's
But
not
no
gonna
one
be
else
cheap.
has done it, and it's annoying. So I'm gonna do it because
The
there's
community
very little
thing.
information about how effective various different power conditioners actually are, and that's a shame.
It's
Yep,
weird to me that
as-
there are so many expensive power conditioners that aren't just like regenerating, which seems like by far the most obvious way to do so-called power conditioning.
Well, I mean, the regenerators will fix like high mains harmonic distortion or incorrect voltage and stuff, but I had the PS Audio P20, their flagship regenerator, and that was it was like, no distortion or anything, but way higher noise than what you get at the output of the like Audio Quest conditioner, for example. So they seem to, based on that sample size of 1, which is, as far as I'm aware, one of the only actual regenerators you can get in audio.
Well, that and
and
every
the audio.
noisy.
UPS.
Yeah, well, my UPS is even noisier, like by far.
Yeah, but how much did
Yeah.
your UPS cost compared to the
Like
audio?
$200.
PS
Yeah.
audio. Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean the PS Audio. Yeah, the PS Audio, it fixed some issues which a power conditioner can't, but it's way noisier than a
The
good
Audio
power conditioner.
Quest was just a power conditioner.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Audio Quest ones, they basically poached the guy that led the design for all of the Furman stuff.
Oh,
So
Never
same guy that did all
heard
the
of him.
Furman. You never heard of Furman?
No, I'm
Blame.
joking.
no.
Oh, okay.
What the fuck?
So yeah, the Audio Quest ones so far, just in my initial testing, are the cleanest
That took me
ones.
a second again. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the Audio Quest ones so far are looking very good, but I'm hoping to get a bunch in the next couple of weeks and test them all at once.
Cool. Were you able to get hands on that that RME piece you were looking for too?
No, not yet.
Which
but I
RME
did
piece were you looking for?
the ADI2 Pro. But I spoke to one of the engineers from RME who confirmed
The
things I needed
interface, not
to
the
check.
DAC.
No, it's the ADI2 Pro, which I'm using sort of as, or want to use sort of as an interface.
You don't
So
want the Pro. You want the ADI 2/4 though.
Either one. They both have the digital output capabilities.
Yeah, but the 2/4 is slightly better than the Pro.
It is. It's also more expensive. So
True.
bear in mind, I'm literally, as long as it's bit perfect, I'm using, basically my intention is to use a separate DAC being fed from the AES output of the RME as the main DAC feeding the main speakers, and then the analog outs of the RME feeding the subwoofers. So I don't really care too much about what the DAC performance is, because it's just going to be driving subs.
Gotcha. And what do you think about Christmas music?
As someone who worked in retail for a bit, I'm good.
So can we run this? This was my take, but now Griffin has joined my stance that this should be enacted into law. Our view is that any retailer who plays more than one rendition of the same Christmas song over the entirety of the holiday season should be jailed.
I mean, personally, I think that Christmas music should be illegal. Well, certainly anytime outside of December. If you start playing Christmas music in November, or in some cases October.
Yeah, October is when I started hearing it.
Just close your business, please. But ideally, just like Christmas Eve, maybe the day before, and Christmas. That's it. Other than that, you're not allowed to play Christmas music. Don't get me wrong. I like Christmas. I'm not Scrooge or anything, but
I am.
Just there's a point where you go, I've had enough Christmas music.
No, see, I am looking forward to visiting family and singing Christmas songs in German, because that's what's going to happen.
Silent Nacht.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. But apart from that,
yeah, I don't necessarily think Cameron's take is unreasonable. As someone who also did spend a long time working retail,
I worked night shifts whilst listening to Christmas music, and that was pain.
So it's only playing for you at that point. Like,
No, no, I was working in a casino, so there was plenty of
Oh.
people there.
okay.
Still. Yeah.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough.
You play the Theory of Everything soundtrack on Christmas?
Never heard that soundtrack.
Isn't that that's the Hawking movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen the movie. Just don't remember the soundtrack.
There is
An odd
not
choice.
Ryan, there's not a gap in the gap in the market for audiophile Christmas music. We don't need any of that.
I also just think there's well-recorded Christmas albums out there. Like a lot of the
Yeah.
like vocal jazz.
Yeah, the
Christmas
Michael Bublé
music
stuff is well done.
Very well done.
Very well done. Yeah.
Okay,
Someone
you
says,
want to move
I
into the
think
topic that
working
we
in
were? Sorry,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
just got to ask a question. Sorry, Darkman says, I think working in a casino explains Golden. How does that explain Golden?
Agreed.
What? How?
I no idea.
What?
You do not seem
If you
like
don't intuit it,
patron
then you
or
don't
work.
understand, man. You're not gonna understand.
I don't. I
And-
also don't get it. So, but
Yeah, it's
Okay, he just says Blaine gets it. All right.
Speaking of casinos, I've got one for you. I once worked security at a casino.
Oh, okay.
interesting lore drop.
There's context behind that. We had a friend who was doing some sort of, I think, acrobatics performance, and we just they said, oh, we can only let you do this if you have somebody who can like do security, make sure drunk people don't come up to you and like mess with the thing, because it's just like in the middle of the, and it was for Christmas as well, or New Year's. Yeah, it's New Year's, and they said they pay
Famous Christmas acrobatics.
Yeah, no, I think it was New Year's, but they said they'd pay us, I think it was like $100 to do security, so we did.
Okay.
So I had to look tough.
I think you could look tough. I think you could definitely put on like a mean mug. And
Oh,
just
yeah. Yeah. But casinos are pretty sad. I hate casinos.
Well, I was taking money from the casino at the same time I was working there, so I was doing my part.
Right. Good. All right.
Not as in stealing, just to be clear. I mean, Google matched betting. Sorry, I probably should have worded that better.
He is in Bad Santa. Here they closed down the. Okay, well, I guess you guys don't know.
All right. Let's go back to the topic we were already talking about.
Yeah.
Which, for those who are just joining now, including Cameron, is
we've already done me, but we haven't done you guys.
Yeah. Well,
if you had $1 million.
If you had $1 million, how would your home setup change for audio? Or would it?
If you were, to be clear, if you were suddenly endowed with $1 million, not if you worked for 20 more years and saved up $1 million.
I'm assuming this is a case of we have to spend $1 million on audio, right?
No. That's the whole point. That's why I think this is interesting. Because if we had to spend it on audio, then we're all going to get like HE1s and crap. But no, it's $1 million for your use. How much of that would you spend on audio and on what?
Honestly, not much right now. Like, there's a couple bits of test kit that I'd like to get. My speaker setup, honestly, I'm really happy with. Same with my headphone setup at the moment. I'd probably buy an Imperio GSC. That's about it. If like, yeah, I mean, the right answer is just, well, put $1 million into a S&P 500 tracker fund or something, and then just chill. But if you had to spend it on audio,
other indices are available.
Yes. Probably the one that tracks Nancy Pelosi's stock picks. That's the ideal one to be on. If I had to spend it on audio, I'd probably build like a dedicated speaker listening room. Like get the room itself just absolutely perfect. That would probably, because that's not cheap.
Hire someone to finish our database.
Yeah. Well, that's a separate issue. So the general answer here is that neither of you would spend more than a small percentage of it on audio, right?
I mean, I spend a lot of it on furniture. Then I could spend it on audio.
You say a lot of it on furniture. If you have $1 million, you're not
that expensive.
A lot.
Okay,
how many chairs do you want?
I just feel like $1 million is such a massive amount that.
I mean, you say that it's not.
No, you can easily spend $1 million on audio, very much so. It's just that realistically, based on everything I've experienced at Munich and whatnot, I feel that for you know, a lot of money. Let's say you were going to spend. You didn't have any sort of ideal room, but if you spent like $100K building a really nice extension to your house or whatever for an ideal listening room or fairly ideal listening room, and then call it another $100K just as a round number on audio stuff, I think spending $1 million would not actually get you really anything better.
That you could.
Oh God, no, definitely not. What I found interesting is that Andrew's answer was like, I would buy a subwoofer. And that's it. And then then he amended it to an LS60 and a subwoofer. No, it was a Kef Cube was what he would buy.
Of all the things.
No,
to be honest,
no.
actually,
I didn't even. You said Cube. I said I wouldn't get the Cube. I'd just get the LS60.
Well, you first said you'd get the Cube, then you
No.
changed it to just the LS60.
No. Because the one I was thinking of was that KC62 or KC92 or whatever, KF92, not the Cube.
I changed my answer slightly. I would buy an Imperio GSE, and I would probably buy like 6 Perlison D215S subwoofers.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
See, Andrew, that's the correct number of subwoofers.
6.
More.
Yeah.
More.
I
Yeah.
mean,
But I
you
really
could do 8.
But all
I
of
would
this
do 8, but honestly, 8's just where it starts getting really hard to actually like connect all of them. So
all of this though is conditional on me having a different space from what I have now, and
We
probably
gave
not.
you
if you have
$1
$1
million,
million,
Andrew.
But $1 million gets you nothing here. That's the problem. Like
Hey,
you can't
move.
buy anything for. Yeah,
that's why I'm moving. I wouldn't
Yeah.
stay here. I can't
Yeah.
afford like $1 million here or get you a small cupboard. So,
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Griffin?
I would definitely move.
Yeah.
I would not be
where?
living where I'm currently living. Somewhere just way more boring.
Vancouver.
Closer to the middle of the country. No, I don't really care where I live, honestly.
I
I
live in
don't.
Cincinnati.
I probably wouldn't move
We
to
should
a
all move to the
metropolitan
UK.
area, honestly. Like it would be a place where I could get a house for like, it wouldn't be a big house or anything like that, but I could get a house for maybe like half of the $1 million all in. Again, wouldn't be a big house. But
Become
I
a
would
digital nomad.
basically.
Yeah.
But then yeah, I would spend probably the rest of that money probably building out a studio either in the basement or across a few rooms of the house. I would try to spend it mostly on the gear and less on people actually like making the space. I would throw myself into learning more about acoustics and actually building rooms and stuff like that, which is something I've always had an interest in anyway. But yeah, I would, for my listening setup, I would actually get speakers because I don't have any besides my iLoud micro monitors, but I would be able to build a room for those speakers, a control room. I would probably do something like 8331s and then like 4 subs. I don't know if I would do like a live end dead end room or maybe come up with something a little bit more.
If you do a live end dead end room, you will be in the dead end dead. Because
because you'll kill me. Yeah.
Somebody says, screw this, I'm moving to Ulaanbaatar. The problem
capital Mongolia.
Yeah, the problem with that is that it's really polluted. And so
it is very polluted.
If you're prone to respiratory illness, that's probably not the best place to go.
Okay. Well, anyway,
the climate's also not the best.
Someone mentioned buying a Clippill.
It would be $1 million would go further there though.
Because has Aaron said how much he was able to get his Clippill for, or Amir for that instance? Because I know
we asked him, and he said his relationship helped,
to comment.
but that was the extent.
Well, and he got used gear. The implication I took is that he paid less than $50,000, but I don't know that.
Yes.
We
don't have it confirmed.
That's actually not terrible. That's
I mean that's very different than 150 or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I believe that the new price is more like 115, but
still that's not ideal. I mean, because I know Amir said he got a discount, but he didn't say how much. But either way, if you've got $1 million, Clippill's probably a cool thing to have.
That'd be really cool.
I wouldn't really care.
I'm not sure.
I would just buy a speaker that already performs well.
No, but
I
just
don't know. I
for
might
reviewing things. I'd also want you just want to install a crane in the same room. Though. That's going to be a fair bit.
Yeah,
It's a lot that has to go around the Clippill.
The more you think about all of this stuff, just goes, actually, no, this is going to eat up that $1 million pretty quick. So
yeah, that's the thing. I really do
Go
enjoy
traveling with the
testing
rest of the
audio
money.
stuff, but I would much rather put that
Yeah.
money into like making music and that stuff because
Oh,
I haven't been doing a lot of that recently, and I used to do that a lot.
so when you say
Uh,
studio, you mean like a recording studio?
I mean, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Oh,
What
Yeah,
did
so
you
I would
think it
have
was?
I thought like just like a listening space or something like that.
no. It would be
Okay.
a proper control
So
room, tracking room
that's
set up
been
with
uh
yeah,
yeah.
probably
So
nice hardwood
that's been
room.
a dream of mine is to create so like I want to move out to the island because there's a lot of like kind of more open naturey spaces there,
Mhm.
and I want to have a farm, but also have it be a recording studio.
That's
I
kind
want to
of
have a
what
farm.
it's kind of what I'm
I w-
thinking. Yep.
yeah. I want to have a
Farming
farm.
vibes.
Well, yeah, but well, I want to make cheese, to be some sort of artisanal cheese business, and then the other side of the business would be a dope ass recording studio where musicians would want to go to, because it's kind of like it's a
It's a
bit of a pain
retreat.
in the ass to get there. Yeah, it's a retreat. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's my
That
dream.
is very that is very much the vibe
Yeah,
of what I was talking about. Yeah, like moving
yeah,
to the middle of the country where it's less expensive, can get a nice piece of
cheese farm.
land. I don't know about cheese farm. I was probably just gonna like raise some chickens and call it a day.
I mean
I don't
that
know.
works,
I have
dude.
family
Dude,
that kept livestock, and
fucking
it's a lot of work.
horses are awesome. Horses are awesome.
Horses are cool. Again, I don't think I would put in the work and
Wait,
money
is
to
Andrew a
maintain.
horse girl?
I was gonna say it and then I stopped
What's a
myself.
horse girl?
But
What is that?
You actually kind of are a horse girl, come to think of it. And that
I mean,
actually
I
contextualizes a lot.
had a horse growing up, so and
Yeah, no, it all's kind of lining up
It's
in
coming
my head
together.
now.
okay, I don't understand this reference, but
Anyway, I would just I would put a drum
is this
kit
like
and
a
a grand
furry joke?
piano in the live room and
Yeah,
yeah, call it a
that
day
would be
there.
super cool to have, and like
Yeah.
have musicians, like it'd be aspirational for musicians to like
I honestly
go.
don't care about having musicians come to me. Like,
Really? I think that'd be so cool
yeah,
to have.
honestly, that was like my least favorite part of working like in studios was working with other
Oh no,
musicians. Like I've
you wouldn't want to do the work. You just want to have the space.
oh, I guess. I mean,
'Cause you could like go
eh,
there and hang out when they're producing something, but somebody
I
else actually
guess.
does. Yeah,
I don't know. It would just be for me, really. Like I just want a place to play drums and record drums again and
that's fair.
have a
That's
proper
fair.
piano and record piano and
Yep.
Oh, I'd love to have
yeah.
like a
Question:
grand
Are
or
you more of an
something.
upright or a baby grand type?
Baby grand?
So
Baby grand.
I was an upright person for a long time, but when I worked at Sony for that brief period in New York, they had a Steinway Model D on the
Oh,
26th floor that I would always on my lunch breaks I would just like not eat and elect to play the piano for as long as I could.
yeah.
So
Bass.
yeah, I became a grand piano person
Yep.
with that
I was
thing.
the same way. I used an upright for a while, and then because it's just what I had, and then
Yeah.
was grand pilled.
Hearing proper bass played through a grand
Yeah.
piano is
Yeah.
there's really no going back from that, especially
Yeah.
if it's like a Steinway or a Bosendorfer or something like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I still actually prefer the sound of uprights, partially
That's
because
because you like folk, and it fits with folk.
yeah, it does.
I mean, there is a certain charm to it, I will say. Like a lot of my favorite records that I would identify piano parts as being my favorite part of that record are recorded on upright pianos. But I think for playing, like the tactile sensation of it, a grand
There's
piano is just
nothing
more
like it.
satisfying
It's
because
just
again, there
yeah.
is like so much more bass and
Mm.
it's less like boxy sounding, I guess.
I will say it made me at that experience probably is what's responsible for making me quit playing piano because
Because I'm never
I was
gonna
like,
have this at home.
well that, but also like okay, now this is like what serious people do, and I'm not a serious person.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not a serious piano player either. Like I have a little dinky freaking Yamaha
Yeah.
over there, and I play it sometimes. If I had a grand piano, I would play it a lot more. But
Yeah.
I
I
don't
have an
read notes like
upright at
this.
the moment, but I haven't played enough recently. I'd love to get back into producing music stuff, but honestly, just the sort of like business side of it.
It sucks. It
Yeah.
really sucks. It's
I'm
why I stopped doing it.
That's why you
I
need
had
your
a
main
couple.
business to be a cheese shop
Yes,
and a cheese
absolutely.
farm.
Well, I had a very bad experience when because I produced some music with some friends a while ago, and it did pretty well for a while. And let's just say that you should really, really carefully read every single contract you sign with a label, because they will screw you at every possible turn, and then turn around and ask why you're not best friends with them and making more stuff. Anyway,
General
sorry,
note for the young viewers: read every contract you sign in business.
Oh, I
You
mean,
never
yes,
know what's
but
going to
like
be in there.
with the music industry, expect that they are trying to screw you in some way. And if you haven't found out how they're trying to screw you, it's just because you've not looked hard enough yet.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't make money.
I
if
would
they're
actually say for the contractors I know in general, that's generally true. Like for employment contracts, I haven't seen that as much, but for music and for other contracting stuff, they're always trying to get one over on you. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Be careful.
All right, let's move on to the next topic.
Well,
Wait.
Blaine hasn't given his answer.
Yeah, I don't care. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Blaine.
Okay, fair enough. No, let's move on.
No,
Blaine's question.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
No,
Nobody
I
cares
want to
about
know.
Blaine.
I want to know. I want to know.
I care about Blaine. How dare you?
Let the fur man speak.
Also,
Okay,
Scott
go ahead.
Pledger in
I
chat.
beg your pardon?
How you doing?
Hey, Scott. No, I've thought about this a fair bit, actually. And I mean, my answer is similar to Griffin's, but not quite the same. I would build a house. $1 million is enough to comfortably get some land back in the North Puget Sound where I was born and where I frankly would like to die. And I could build a place that had plenty of space for the workshops and stuff, the stuff that I do, a nice space for listening / sort of a living / listening room, and just like a generally good place to be. And I'd still have enough to put a few $100,000 in the bank. Well, not the bank, in an index fund of some stripe. And honestly, I'd probably, if I was doing that, like I'd build subs into the room. I might even do something crazy like a dual bass array. But that would probably be the extent of the audio equipment I'd do.
Would you have chairs?
Probably
Blaine
yes.
would have the most ergonomic chairs you have ever seen in your life.
He would have a
No, I mean,
collection
that
of
would-
them.
That
Each
would
of them
be
with their own subwoofer underneath.
no. That's the nice thing about a dual bass array, and why I kind of like the idea. If you are building a room from the ground up, you can make it so that the sound pressure distribution in low frequencies in the room is completely uniform.
See, I love that the answer to the question of what would you do if you had $1 million is I would go to
House.
where I want to die.
Yeah.
Blaine's been very open about that. He loves where
Yeah.
he grew up and feels the most himself when he's there.
Oh, I do
makes
too.
It makes the most sense in the world to me
Yeah.
that he would choose to die there.
No,
I mean, if you think
but yeah,
about
that
it, where
sounds
you go
great.
to retire is where you go to die.
Basically, yeah.
Dark.
But yeah, I think that's a good answer.
Is it?
I'm
Not for me.
not really. I don't think it's that dark.
I thought the answer was going to be like Canada, because then you can make use of the
Made.
benefits.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, anything
Okay.
else on this one?
I mean, I think that
Blaine's
we
answer
all
is
sort of
good.
have the biting our tongue on, I would buy this or that measurement equipment. And I think for that one, the question is, do we quit our jobs, right? Because if we don't, there's not that much point. But if we did, we'd probably still want to do this kind of shit. And so we'd need to get more of our own shit.
That's why I said
I wouldn't-
get an HMS or something. Get all of the things for measurements, right?
I would
Because-
probably invest more in like head measurements. Like I would maybe build
Like-
an array that I can do
Yeah,
my
yeah,
own
that makes
HRTFs in
sense.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I really
I
would
agree.
love to just build a proper workshop where I'd have both space for testing and also some equipment to make producing this shit easier. I mean,
This
I would
dovetails-
probably end up killing myself by accident with a CNC mill, but
At least you're
at
where you
least
want
I'd
to
be where I
die.
wanted to die.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. This dovetails into the next question, which is if you had $1 million to start an audio company, what would you do?
Which is a different question. But I
Very
think
different.
Then
question.
$1 million can genuinely, depending on what you're trying to do, not go all that far.
Yeah,
kinda
no, you'd
depends.
have to be careful.
You would have to be very careful.
I mean, you could still start something.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
yeah.
So Andrew, what would your answer be?
I'd probably start making headphones.
Okay, so like you have $1 million.
Yourself in a
Where do you
shed?
actually start with that process?
Good question. I mean, the thing that I would want to do with that is probably a little bit more on the like bespoke, like high end side of things. Get out of here with that face. Well, just because I'd want to do things with like, adding electrical filters in, and so I'd probably start researching like, who I could work with as a partner to manufacture that.
Okay.
Tooling, that kind of stuff. I have to figure that out. Yeah. I mean, as far as like, I would say like, okay, like I wouldn't bother doing custom drive, like actual, in-house custom drivers. But I might get one custom made from somewhere.
Sure.
Something like that. I mean, like, so this is kind of like stuff that we have done a bit of already, which is look into that kind of stuff, that side of things, right? And so, yeah, I'd probably just, I'm not saying I would pick up where I left off, because I think I would do things a bit more myself. But a lot of that might involve, like, I'd probably need to get a better 3D printer or some 3D printers or something like that and start actually developing it that way. Make some molds, then figure out if I'm going to do injection molded or whatever, right?
Would you be doing this all by yourself? Would you hire people?
I'd hire Constantine.
Okay, so you've just cut you've now got about 4 years of runway with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unless you just consult him for a single project.
Yeah. I'd probably do that. I'd probably hire Griffin and then get Constantine as an initial consultant.
Fair.
Yeah.
Chad is going wild on this one in weird directions.
Oh, like what would I actually make for a headphone? Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely part of the question. Yeah.
Yeah. I have thought about this. I would probably go dynamic driver. I would look for a driver that is, again, low resonance frequency, low distortion, and less modal. I would probably want to start with a closed back, because I think there's just not as much good there, but I would eventually want to make an open back with a bass shelf in the right spot, because I think that's something that all of us who do EQ get to experience, but those of us who don't rarely find.
Although there is some empirical evidence that it may not be necessary.
You mean from Sean's data?
Yes.
It may not be necessary, but I think it's fun, and I like fun. I'm all about fun.
This is the fun he likes.
Yeah. I mean, this gets a bit into like, well, if I could design my ideal headphone, what would it be, right? And in a way, it's like I would take the build quality and the sort of like mechanical design of a Meze, with the sound signature that I EQ my headphones to, which is very, very palatable to me, and I think would be palatable to people as well. But a lot of that is to do with adding in a bass shelf to an open back headphone. There's this narrative that like I like lean sounding headphones, or like I like bright headphones because I like headphones like Cameron and I are going to talk about this one, but this is the Aria Unveiled, like the Sosfara. They are linear in the bass, but they're not bass boosted at all. But what people don't realize is that when I use them for myself, I add a bass boost with EQ, a bass shelf, right? Same with if I were to use the HD800S, I would add a bass shelf to that and contour the bass, right? Completely ruining Blaine's preferred sound signature. Because I'm a Class 1 listener, and Class 1 listeners do like a bit of a bass shelf.
We're all Class 1 listeners.
Are you? I guess you are. Yeah.
Blaine is also a Class 1 listener.
I think he's not Class 3.
Our conclusion is that Class 3 isn't real.
How can Blaine be real if Class 3 isn't real?
Good point. Good point.
It's a valid question.
Yeah. I know.
Okay.
I'd
I
make
feel-
it. I'd want it to be super ergonomic, right? Because like ergonomics are like the thing that most headphones don't.
Okay, but here's the
Most
question: How
high-end
do you do it? How do you make it ergonomic? So, like, would you design the ergonomics, or do you need to find someone to do that?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Because like nobody sets out to make uncomfortable headphones; they just keep making them.
Yeah,
Or
I'd
just
probably
keep
take a look.
making
I
them.
I actually think that I'd probably do that myself because I think I would take a look at like the designs that are, pretty good, or that I think are pretty good, and iterate on that. I think that. I mean, like, a lot of this is also contingent on like me just taking the time to like get better at fusion, and learning how to do that kind of stuff a bit better. But yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay. What about you, Cameron?
$1
$1 million. Start
I
a
don't
headphone
think I do
company. Go.
headphones just because there's a lot of them,
Based.
and I don't really know how much I'd be able to do that's like new/unique. To be honest, I'd probably start a company making a few bits of like, not strictly speaking source gear, but just products that I think are useful that don't quite exist yet, like stuff to make multi-channel setups easier, just an inline upsampler of some sort that doesn't require a dual BNC proprietary connection, just like stuff that I'd need to hire people to do, but there would actually be some demand for and don't actually exist yet. I'd probably make like just basically electronic bits and bobs. That's the best way to put it.
I have a bit of an addendum. If I had $10 million or more,
It's not the prompt.
I know,
Not the prompt.
but if we're talking about like aspirations,
If I had $100 million, I would
if I'm talking
buy
about like
Sennheiser.
my priority, like the thing that I would want to make more than anything else, and this is going to sound weird, fucking sports IEMs that don't suck.
$10 million
like
is probably a reasonable estimate there.
Sports
Yeah.
TWS. Yeah, sports TWS.
That
I mean,
would
we found
involve
that
a lot of different engineering.
that like strap band thing that measured surprisingly not horrible, which was interesting at Camden Dallas.
What was it?
What was that called, listener? The like weird fabric band thing that we measured that like actually was weirdly okay.
God,
do you know the one I mean?
I don't remember. It was the LC Delita headband headphone, I think. The one that Dylan from Deconi brought over.
I think so, yeah. But it was like we all looked at it and went, is that right? Is that right? That looks better than some.
I mean, it wasn't
headphones.
good. It wasn't
good.
It was a little bit worse than KSC 75, which is
the LC Delita headband headphones, Bluetooth 5.2 headband, sleep headphones with ultra thin HD stereo speaker.
I cannot believe I got that name right.
Yeah.
No, but that thing was like surprisingly not screwed, which was interesting.
But was it for sports or like what was the?
Yes. It's for sports and sleeping.
So two
and
very
apparently also workout, yoga, meditation, insomnia gifts.
Yeah. No, I like the idea of, because I feel like that's a market where it would be very difficult to break into that market and you would need a lot more capital to do so. But it is a market that the bar is extremely low. Because those products are generally pretty bad.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. The purple one kind of goes hard. I might buy this.
I've never seen it.
How do you spell this?
Well, I dropped the link in general in our server.
Honestly, the purple one is pretty cute.
This is the
goes pretty hard.
It's pretty funny.
Oh my god, so the ear warmers.
Hell yeah. Okay, so Cameron's not making headphones unless it's something like this. Otherwise, he's making
no, I'm not making this. This was a suggestion for Andrew's sports
thing.
Yeah, so what was this? Cameron has decided he wants to be RME but for digital conversion.
Yeah, basically.
Which I mean is a hole that could be filled with good products.
Like right now, there's
why
not
would you phrase it that way?
It's a hole in the market. I don't know what else to call it, Lane.
No, but then seriously, there's like right now doing room correction if you're not using like Dirac or something is actually a little bit of a pain,
It's
particularly if you want to use like multiple subs and stuff. So like fixing that would be great.
Yeah, so
Upsampling is a
you
lot
want to
more
make
niche.
better
unless
mini
you bought
DSP.
Jenny Lai.
Who is Blaine
Yeah.
Secundus?
What?
It's
Oh my God, is that
apparently the
person with
second in
full
my
sword?
line.
Hmm.
Implicitly, I suppose, my heir.
I feel like
Here's
Griffin is your heir.
here's the Puget sound.
Sorry, continue.
For those asking in the chat, I've just posted the name of that thing that we were talking about. We brought it to, or someone brought it to CanGem Dallas, and we measured it, and it was like okay. Which, looking at it, it seems like it should not be okay.
But it had a
No
mid-range.
bass, but it had decent mid range and wasn't turbo screwed. So
Yep.
Blaine, what's your answer?
My answer is pretty big, and I'm trying to find something to buy with the LC Deleta before it gets sold out from chat. So hold on, can we have Griffin go first?
Okay.
So I'm kind of torn between two routes. The first route would be trying to find a brand that currently exists and make headphones that wants to start a sub brand. I would actually
You would
think
go with the sub brand,
but maybe not from who you're expecting.
A Sigma brand.
I would go to Singapore and ask Razer and be like, hey,
That's
I
unexpected.
have $1 million. Do you guys want to start an audiophile headphone company that makes reasonably expensive but very comfortable headphones that we can use your existing gaming brand to kind of serve as
a great idea.
Because they have manufacturing, they have the licenses to a lot of like comfortable designs, like the Razer Moray. They already licensed that design from In-Ear, who has a whole database.
Razer owns THX as well.
They do.
They have a lot of good technology, and I feel like the fact that they've not done audiophile headphones yet is probably just because they haven't found someone to do it yet.
That's why such a great idea.
Yeah. So
I mean,
that's
objectively, this is probably the correct choice.
Yeah. And I would try to get product out as soon as possible. I would be like, hey, let's take the Moray, make it actually sound good, upcharge it by like 3 times and sell it to audiophiles, and we'll make really good money on it. It'll sound good, and we can use that to relay into consumer true wireless devices.
What if you could go to like, now that's a better idea than what I'm going to suggest here, but what if you could go to like other companies that make ergonomic headphones, like say Austrian Audio, right? And just say, I have $1 million to give you, but you have to achieve my tuning choices.
Well, that's why it would be a sub brand, not just me like
right. I got you.
Like I absolutely want to be the person that signs off on the product being made and is there from the ground up leading the decisions.
Yeah, and it would have no trouble.
And well,
I just give you shit.
The thing is, if I'm making something for people who aren't me, it probably would have more than I like.
More than you, yeah. You have to. And that's the thing is, like anybody getting into this has to consider that, right? Like,
you're not going to make money if you don't.
Yeah.
But that's the reason also why I wouldn't want to partner with any company currently in audiophile, because currently they don't do that very well. Like they don't. What's the nice way to phrase this?
They're shit.
No,
that is the nice way of phrasing it. Yeah.
They're very slow to uptake other ideas that don't. Yeah,
there's a lot of resistance to because people think that they know best. Right, the I know best complex.
That's probably partially it, but I think there's also like we've made sales based on this formula before, so why would we deviate from that?
100%, and it's so frustrating because they'll have their products. Well, they'll get gassed up by whoever is,
Yeah, our customers love this. Why would we change?
Yeah, their customers, their dealers, whatever, right? And it's like.
But that's why I wouldn't really be interested in working with an audiophile company, and I think like a gaming company like Razer,
and the problem
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and the problem is with the audiophile once again, because there is so much acceptance of poor to mediocre sound, or poor to mediocre ergonomics, or poor to mediocre whatever mechanical design. just like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then this perpetuates this cycle of like,
Yeah, it's bad. But I think
shittiness.
an IEM would be one of the quickest things to come to market, especially if I did work with
It's
Razer and they
interesting
already had
to
all the
me that
licensing in place.
it's interesting to me that you picked the Moray as the
Because it's an incredibly comfortable IEM design. It's
Which is rare these days.
But I was
Yes.
gonna say they also have, so for their over ear, I think it's their over ear ANC headphone. It's actually tuned well, reasonably well, better than a lot of them. It just has the background hiss issue. So you could probably do something interesting there with their over ear stuff.
You're talking
too.
about the Opus?
Yes.
Yeah, the main problem is that hiss might be an issue with the SoC, and if you're replacing the SoC, like that may well be harder than making a not shit Moray.
Okay.
Because a not shit
Yes.
Moray might just be DSP changes.
Right.
And obviously
Yeah,
changing how
or
it
just
looks.
like actually giving any thought to what's going on acoustically in the first
I
place.
want-
Like,
I wanna
I don't
get
know
one of
how
those.
much
That's
actually
interesting.
went into it, but it's not a exceedingly well tuned IEM, and I feel like that alone could be improved with very simple acoustic changes. But even going past that, for what I said after, whereas when you get into like consumer true wireless, for example, if I start a brand with $1 million, unless I get huge, I'm not going to have access to the chips I need to do the future designs I want for over-ear headphones.
Yep.
And
Would
Razer
you
is a
say-
company that can place large enough orders for people like Qualcomm to actually take me seriously.
And would you say that you would love that?
Like that job?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I would love that job.
Because that's a Moray. I know. I jelly bites made that.
That's a good one. But yeah, no, it would be something that could make money, but I feel like we could actually make really good audio products that
When
have
the job
wide
hits your eye using Razor's supply, that's a Moray.
That's a Moray. Yeah.
appeal.
All right, Blaine. Have you given it thought?
Yeah,
See, actually,
so
I know the answer to this.
you do?
Yeah, but you go ahead.
Well, no, I'm curious about your answer first, because apparently you know an answer that I don't.
Oh. It's not one that I'm not going to talk about it on stream.
What?
You go ahead.
No, if it's the one you're thinking about, that's not my thing, you know.
I know it's not, but that's
That's not the thing I would do.
Okay, what would you do?
Hold on, I'm just gonna fucking get my order in before y'all sell out the Dolitas.
Are they actually buying them?
If they don't, they're stupid.
I
This
mean,
thing
I
is
don't
high
know.
fashion.
I don't know about that.
This
We're
thing
gonna be
is
wearing
high
them the next-
fashion.
What
Well,
do
the
you-
next
do you
stream,
think-
we're all wearing them.
So
Oh, yeah,
what
for
people
sure.
don't know is that Blaine uses like a very interesting sleep mask that has like headphone ear pads, not actual headphone ear pads, but essentially headphone ear pads that go over his eyes when he
Yep,
sleeps.
Manta sleep.
Okay, but am I crazy? In the marketing material, it makes it look like the speakers are in the eyes.
Does it?
Right? Like, yeah, look at the
Yeah.
purple one.
Pud's
the
got it
sleep mask.
too. That's his idea.
Yeah, I was like, this is Pud. And same thing with
The
with
iPhone. I mean, this is older than Pud.
Yeah. Like the earmuff one makes sense because it looks like it's actually got the speaker in the earmuff. But the sleep mask looks like it actually has speakers for the eyes, which I don't understand.
Okay. While we're waiting for Blaine, I did say
Right,
at the
no.
beginning that I had two. The other one
Okay,
would-
let's hear the other one then. Sure.
would be a little bit well, a lot less likely to make any money, but it would probably be more fun for the first year or two. It would be like just starting a company that's more based around audio research and
Mm,
That's
doing
definitely not a good way to make money.
Yeah,
No.
no, not at all. Like the thing is, if I did the first thing, I would probably be able to do this after making one good product that really sells well.
I mean, a
I'm
lot
not
of
gonna
that,
lie, dude. You should just go to Razer right now and pitch them that idea.
even though you don't have $1 million.
I do not
Well,
have
no,
$1
I mean, you
million
don't need $1 million.
as a seed for this.
It's just a good
company.
idea, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Maybe if I had.
I
$1
will say
million.
that there's one super obvious one that no one here has said, but which would be the easiest way to make your ROI. Just like
What?
recreate the Denon D2000. Foster
That's a good
still
point.
sells that OEM
this is
model,
the
and you could
closest
just
thing.
name that.
This is the closest.
Yeah,
thing.
but it's worse.
It's
Like, just
not
make
as-
a new revision of that with the
actually
headband
think the
issues
bass is better.
fixed.
The bass is better. On
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say,
I'm not
I don't-
sold on that take.
the bass is
I
incredible.
think you could take that design from Fio and just make slight adjustments, and it would
Slight
be better
adjustments,
than
and it would
D2000.
be. Yeah, I agree.
Is the
I
LC
agree.
deleter headband different in the UK versus US?
Oh my god.
I'm just posting a picture in the our channel. The one that you posted looks more suitable for Taran, whereas this one's a little bit more like, oh, you'll see.
Oh, this is an interesting corollary to this question, actually. Naderade asks, if you guys were tasked to become a top 3 company in a specific lane, that being headphones, IAMs, amps, or home audio, which would you try to compete in? Funding not an issue.
Well, funding's not an issue. We'll win in any of them, but I know what he means. It's like not limiting it to 1 million. Home audio is suicide.
Yeah.
Like, it would be beyond suicidal to pick that.
Sorry, what were the other options?
IAMs,
headphones,
or headphones.
amps.
I think like because headphones realistically is probably where it would be easiest to do so, because you'd be home audio. It's just marketing. People don't actually really care about what's good or even know what's good. It's just all marketing and whatever.
It's not just marketing. It's marketing and apps, and those are two very expensive things.
Yeah.
See, like, I would still say like the ANC, the ANC headphone world, because that's.
Okay, do you think you could become a top 3 ANC headphone company with any sum of money? Bearing in mind that the top 3 are Sony, Bose, and Apple.
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of like if Bose reached out to me or whoever and said, "Hey, help us make this existing," because they have the platforms for things like leakage compensation.
Bose is already a top. They're one.
Do you think to compete with them?
I don't think any change any of us would make to anything about the sound quality would make any
difference. I know
in their sales.
Yeah. So that's the problem, is that like you could say, well, and I would want. That's why I said earlier, like sports TWS would be the area that I would want to go in if I could, right? But it'd
be hard to get a slice of the pie there.
So hard to exactly, yeah. But even with any sum of money, even if your product is the best tuned, right? Because they don't care about the sound quality. That's not a selling point to most people, right?
Yeah.
So
thanks, Scott.
Oh, cheers,
Hey,
Scott. Yeah. So in a sense, it's like weak because we our sort of like knowledge base is based in sound quality and that side of things. It would make more sense for that to be in like audiophile headphones. I think we could actually
make money off of it.
What's that?
It's the only way to make money off of it, really.
Well, but this is the thing, right? Like you could make money off of it for a bit, but for how long, I don't know, because there is also that question of like, well, what happens if some of these larger companies just eat the lunch of everybody in that space because of advancements in like spatial audio or whatever, where you just can't compete.
Yeah, I mean,
leakage compensation, consistency, whatever.
I think if we've learned one thing from the speaker world, it's that audiophiles are very slow to adopt new formats. I don't think that's going to change super much unless Apple goes incredibly hardcore on spatial masters. Now, if they do, and people actually buy into it, then that could change. But until that happens, I don't really see that.
And there will always still be a market for, there's still a market for vinyl, right? Like there's always going to be that niche side.
Tragically, yes. Not only is there a market, it's a growing market.
Yeah.
You can be successful in that, you can operate your business and make some decent money and stuff. But like, I think the question was more like if you wanted to become number one in a particular area. And I mean, just in home theater, there's one big thing, which is that basically you can't do it unless Dolby says you can.
Mm-hmm.
So just that alone prevents you from being able to do that. You're not going to unseat Dolby as basically the gatekeeper for the home audio market. IEMs, I feel like it just moves too fast. B, the variability inherent to it means that you're never really going to be able to make the one best product. It's just not really possible to the same extent that it is.
Hot take, that would actually be the one I pick.
Home theater.
No, IEMs.
Oh yeah. Well, IEMs is easy though. Actually, hold on. Let me qualify that. Becoming a top 3 in IEMs for a period of 2 years or less would be trivial. Becoming a top 3 in IEMs and sustaining that position for more than 2 years would be very hard. Because IEMs are just flavor of the month personified. Like, if you got a few wins in a row, you could easily go from tiny to enormous. Like, you could do the Moondrop thing. But
Yep.
then the market turns.
Yeah. Yeah. But the reason I would choose IEMs is because if we're trying to become a top 3, there isn't really a top 1 in IEMs. Like, we say Moondrop, but have they
By
really
sales, yeah, I don't know. I would
Moondrop
be
must
really
be for
interested.
sales, right?
Well, Shenzhen
For
Audio,
what?
like if we
No,
if we,
Yeah.
if
no
we count
way.
the whole umbrella, it is
Because
probably
that
it's
includes
probably
Moondrop
more
to be
fair to
here.
look at it in terms of like Shenzhen Audio versus Linsol versus
Yeah. That's
whoever the
exactly
third
right.
would be.
Yeah, because
Um,
Linsol will be The Audio and Kiwi Ears and whoever else that's under that
and
portfolio.
Zgat.
Yeah, I
and-
don't know.
Yeah.
I think that you're underestimating legacy Western brands there. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if JBL sells more in-ears than those
Oh
guys.
yeah.
I would
What
assume
about
they do.
Shure, right?
I would
Like
assume they
Shure,
do.
Yeah. The
Oh,
stuff that
but
you
if
can
we have to
find.
break,
Like prosumer, like higher end, like consumer markets, not just audiophile stuff, then it gets tricky. Because then even with
it does get
headphones,
tricky because
now you're competing with
JBL
Bose
is
and
like a
Apple.
household.
Can you sell more IEMs than Apple?
No.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
headphones
You
than
can-
Apple even.
No.
You can probably sell more headphones than Apple. I legitimately think you can. I think Sennheiser sells more headphones than Apple, but
That's
I think it
probably
would
true,
take
yeah.
you a long time.
IEMs, you can't. It's just not
No,
possible.
IEMs, Apple will break you like a twig.
I was not considering
AirPods,
mass
the
market
product, is
consumer
a
there.
Fortune 500 company. So, yeah, I don't know
So
how
I guess it
many
has to
AirPods
be
Max
headphones
they
then.
Has to
Yeah.
be headphones. The other
Or
one is
amps.
just not possible.
Well, amps
I
is-
feel like
Shit may legitimately be a top 3 already, and replicating Shit's success, although very difficult, I think would be possible.
where does JDS stack up in that hierarchy for you? Are they a top 3?
I
Also
don't think
ran.
they sell as much.
They
I
don't
think
sell
they
nearly
as
as
many. I
much,
mean, they're
but-
also just hard to get outside the US even. So
Yeah.
I don't think
JDS and Shit aren't on the same scale, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
JDS is a much simpler product
Yeah.
catalog.
Yeah, because there's companies like SMSL and Topping, which I imagine do sell more, and even then slightly outside of that.
It would
there's gonna
surprise
be-
me if Topping sold more than Shit, based on what
I
I've
don't.
heard about how much volume Shit sells.
Yeah, but bear in mind the volume is specific to the US. Shit stuff is non-existent outside the US, pretty much.
But Shit also does have the gamer audience, and Topping does not.
I'm not sure that's true.
No, I'm not sure that's true either. To be honest, I think that
And Topping
the
probably
thing
also has more of pro audio than Shit does.
Topping does have more.
the one thing, and this is something which I'll say. Okay, so
Question.
Go XLR came out, and like everyone was buying it, and no one seemed to learn anything from that because no one has made a like gamer DAC and amp that has XLR phantom power output. They've all got like a mic jack, but no one cares about a mic jack. I'm baffled as to why no one has made a good DAC and amp that has phantom power.
Yeah,
for a
Fun fact,
condenser mic.
I pitched this idea to Andrew Lissamore in 2021.
You did. I remember that.
Yeah, because that like whoever does that is going to sell an enormous number of them, and I don't know why no one's done it yet. Because like even if you don't have all the same software, because the Go XLR had some quite complex software and stuff as well, which isn't cheap to
Well, but
develop.
people keep in mind though, people are going to use things like the Scarlets and whatever else, right?
Well,
just-
that's
Well, yeah,
the-
but
That's
the thing
the
is
lunch that you would have to eat.
it is, and I don't think it would be too hard to do so if you just market it right. Like because I mean,
Weirdly,
functionally,
there are a lot of people who buy those things and like
So
they
as
buy
someone
them and
who
they think they're
sold a
good.
lot of those things, as someone who sold a lot of those things, a lot of the reason people buy Focusrite Scarlets is because the person selling them tells them to.
Yeah,
Like a lot of the
Yeah,
people
Well,
who
and
are
also
trying to start
because-
But they
making
have
music just listen to whatever people tell them to buy.
but there is a functional need for that kind of thing though for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like I also think that the pro audio like reason for getting that is dwarfed by the gamer crowd or the
sure.
just a person
well-
sat at a desk with a microphone.
That's the thing. I don't see Go XLR competing with Scarlett. Like if you're buying something for recording music, you're not buying a Go XLR.
Yeah.
Scarlett sales to people who would otherwise buy a Go XLR reflect those people not knowing that the Go XLR exists, basically.
I measured the ADC input on the Go XLR and it was horrible. Like it's
Oh yeah, I'm
really,
not
it
surprised
was
at all.
not a good ADC or DAC or amp. It's just that it had all the right features in a gamery aesthetic package.
Yep.
And so
Yeah, no, I mean
everyone
it's
went and
something
bought
that
one.
that would be such a trivial win. The thing is, there's only so far you can go off of the gamer market, in my view, because the gamers who want something like that are a minority of gamers versus the people who just want a headset that has, Bluetooth
Headset
connection to their PC.
Yeah.
Logitech Lightspeed.
But a lot of them don't even care about. I mean, this is again the same thing. It's like they don't care about sound quality. They care
Well, yeah,
about
we're not pitching this because of sound
no,
quality
no.
necessarily.
They care about function. Well, they care about the idea of like competitive advantage. So, however you want to sell them on that, a wireless headphone that has lower latency because or whatever, right?
Yeah,
I
but you'll
don't.
never beat Logitech at low latency because they have that whole thing that they invested like $5 million into or whatever.
How does the Maxwell stack up for that? I feel like that's a.
I do not believe its latency is very competitive. I mean, not that it matters. Latency is a meme, but
Yeah,
Lane's
but also
asking.
for soundstage memes, right? They're all about that.
wait,
Go ahead.
So I was just
Cameron.
because this is a purchase device question. Lane's asking what's a good alternative to a used Scarlett. Look for a used Motu M2. The Motu gear has really good ADCs and DACs in it.
I
The
have mixed
drivers
feelings
are
about the
not
Good measured
necessarily the best.
performance. Yeah, but not great
Yeah.
software.
Yeah.
But to
Interesting
be
note.
fair, the reason I moved away from Focusrite was because of their software. Their drivers constantly had buffer issues across 3 different interfaces and on 2 different machines.
They
So
are also
even though
bad.
I don't know if there are any genuinely good ones. But the Motu ones, whilst they're not perfect, they're okay. And the hardware is genuinely really good. So those are the ones I genuinely.
Lane, are you using a PC or a Mac?
Also, I
I ask
just wanna
because
know-
Mac makes this so much easier because basically any class compliant device will be essentially painless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the M2, if you encounter problems, and I did for a very long time, it seems to have mild compatibility issues with USB 3.0 ports.
It does.
Using USB 2.0 ports meaningfully improved the consistency of that device for me.
Yep.
So, winding back a bit to the question of what I would do with $1 million.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, there's a stink bug in here. Howdy, bug.
Isn't the audience?
It's a Christmas stink bug.
Can I show this to the camera?
Oh, what's up, little guy?
Stinky soda.
Well, I mean, they don't stink unless you hurt them.
That's true.
He's just chilling.
And you would never do that.
I wouldn't. Why would I hurt it? He's just chilling.
No, I figured you wouldn't. So I said you would.
Anyway,
never do that.
so I'm not gonna roast the stink bug, chat.
Blaine reserves his violence for other human beings, not for animals.
For his friends specifically.
Yeah, specifically.
Mostly. No, but like something that I've been thinking about for a long time is I'd really love to try a thoroughly iconoclastic headphone brand. Because
I'm curious where this is going to go.
Most, if not all, successful headphone brands right now play the game to some extent from my point of view. They participate in the narrative memes about drivers. They, talk about, oh, this or that method of tuning is clearly bad and destroys sound quality in this or that way. They have, a design language that they clearly paid 6 figures for from a fancy house. Or alternatively, their design language is just, I love one random element, whether it's carbon fiber or wood or whatever. It'd be interesting to do something which was just purely utilitarian. So like starting out with that and saying, okay, I'm going to approach this from a purely mechanical design standpoint. Basically say, damn the appearance, damn the marketing, and just see if people would actually want to buy the Kirkland brand equivalent of audiophile headphones.
Now,
I'd be really
I actually think
interested to see how that
marketing
went.
yourself as the Kirkland brand of audiophile headphones would be effective marketing.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I think
but
that
isn't this kind of like monoprice?
Okay, but the thing is, monoprices are also bad.
Yeah, and
like they're not built well. They're not comfortable.
And they come
but it's
with that
monoprice aspirational. Like the what the idea is behind that, even though they don't do that. Like I know that they had headphones that were like LCDs at home, right? Like Odysseys at home.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
those were built
that's kind of the
really
brand
bad.
association.
Yeah,
What's
it's
that?
Like
X at home.
the brand's name is literally like Monoprice. It
Yeah.
has the word price in the brand name, which implies that it is of a lower quality or
Right.
some like you wouldn't want to go that far
Right.
in terms of your marketing.
Well, no,
But I
and
think there's
the problem with
a way to do that.
Monoprice, like all their stuff is basically derivative, right? And I mean, I guess that makes sense. They're basically like where they succeed is basically where white label products are good. Like their subwoofers are pretty good and they're fairly cheap and they have no particular brand. I don't know why they made Monolith. That was the stupidest thing they ever did, in my opinion, because nobody wants a fancy Monoprice.
Yeah.
But no, what I mean is something more like, I'm trying to think
Cameron,
of a good
your
analogy
keyboard
to
is
this.
what is
Oh,
your
sorry.
keyboard? Mechanical keyboard of some kind? Oh, he's
Sorry, typing a
now
message to someone.
slideshow.
I will unmute myself in one second.
Yeah,
He's a slideshow now anyway.
yeah, no, the camera is not having a fun time. But no, I think it'd be interesting to see what you could do, and really, really going for slim down, like something that not trying to do any publicity stunts, frankly. Like something that I've said to people before a lot of times, actually, is that I think that to be really successful, a headphone company should start with expensive headphones. Like, I don't think people will associate a higher end product from a brand that started out with a $50 product, $100 product, $200 product as being as good. Because people have this strong association of price and quality. But
Oh,
I'd be
man.
really interested in.
I have a rant about that that I need to turn into a video because,
Yeah.
well, we all say things like, price is not an indicator of, good performance or whatever, right? And we know this is true because, there's high-end products that are significantly worse than the cheap stuff, right? There's some high-end products
the
that are
one
good,
you're
but
wearing now.
this is a good sounding one. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is better
Yeah,
than many of the high.
Worse
Yeah,
than
exactly.
the one
Yeah.
you're wearing now.
Yeah. But I feel that the community doesn't internalize this because I can't tell you how many times I have been at a show. I'm thinking of a specific example right now, but there's so many times this happens where I'll say, "Oh, I don't prefer this product or whatever it is. I like the other one that they did." And then somebody there will say, and this is even people on our team will say this, "Oh yeah, well of course that one is like twice the price. So of course you like it better." Or the manufacturer says this, or somebody that we're there with, right, in the community. And we just sort of think, okay, yeah, well, whatever, right? Like, yeah, of course, okay, it's better. But we really shouldn't have that kind of reaction if we properly internalize what it means for price to not be related to the performance, which is another. So we hold these two views, but we don't actually we don't express that way, if that makes sense.
I mean, the four of us do pretty consistently express that way.
The fact that this is something that keeps coming up, or that I keep encountering when I say I like this, something new comes out and I say I like this other thing that they did that happens to cost more, better, and then the response that I get is, yeah, of course it's more expensive, which is like,
I mean, the response should be, well, you ought to. Like, it should be better.
It should be. I know,
more.
and that's why. So there's this like aspirational imperative, right? That like this is how the hobby should be. Therefore, your one particular instance, your tokening of the preference for this particular product and it being more expensive, is an example of that. When it never fucking is an example of that. Like it never actually. The industry itself hasn't changed in that direction. In fact, it's kind of gone the opposite, where the good stuff is getting cheaper and the expensive stuff is getting worse, or continuing to be esoteric and shitty. So why do we have this? Why do we continue to have this implicit, aspirational imperative about, well, yeah, like of course it's you like that other one better because it's more expensive. Anyway, that's my rant.
Well, it's because by propriety it should be better. It's like saying, oh, of course this one's faster, it's more expensive. Yes, if Porsche makes two cars at two like different price points, the faster one should be the more expensive one, or more otherwise around. The more expensive one should be faster.
But that's the lie that we tell ourselves as a community, when we know that in reality nothing is changing in that regard.
Okay, is it a lie or is it just sort of a hope?
I feel
A
like in those
wish.
moments,
I think it's more hopium than a
Yeah.
lie.
Well, because and this is, I think it's just loose talk, to be honest, right? I think it's loose talk that's based on like a subconscious comparison to other industries where this is the case, right? Like it's because when you actually drill down on, you have conversations with people, they know better. Like when you actually like, okay, but
Some of them do.
I would say in
I
our
would say
sphere,
even a
they do know better.
majority do, but there are
Yeah.
plenty of people for whom in their
I would actually say
minds,
the
that is
default
actually a
assumption,
constant truth
yeah,
that
I think
high-end
that the
products are
default,
better.
yes, the default assumption is that. But even among our sort of, sphere of influence, our circle, where people are prone to knowing better, right? They will make that fallacy, right? They will commit that fallacy, and
Well, I
then they
mean,
will
like,
correct themselves when you actually talk to them about it. They'll be like, "Oh no, you're right. That is, that." And like I'm sure that I've done this too, like subconsciously, because there's a weight to the way that this should function, but then also how it does function in many other industries. Anyway, rant over.
Yeah, no. So just to get back to it, Jamie in chat, Side Salad Audio, was saying that the right way to do this, and this is true, is to start with a big Halo product, right? Something like
That's
the
how they
HD1,
the Utopia to the Clear, right?
yeah,
It's
the
that,
Utopia, the
or whatever it was.
HD1. I think Dan tries to do this with the Voce. I don't think that that's been as successful.
I don't know that that's the same model. I think they just wanted to make
No.
an E-stat.
Perhaps true. But Sennheiser has done this for a very long time, right? They've always had something basically unobtainable as their flagship since the first Orpheus.
Yeah.
And I think that works very well. And Focal copied that in their reintroduction to the audio scene, and that really, really worked for them. And I think that's what probably you should do, right? Like you should start out with basically this is the exemplification of what we're trying to do, right?
The
and
Civic
make
Type
a product
R.
no one should actually buy.
The Civic Type R, and then everybody buys the Civic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to see if a company could do well not doing that.
Not doing that. I think that that's fascinating. Yeah.
I would really be interested in starting out with something that tried to knock the fucking HD 599 or the HD 6XX's block off.
And,
and
how about this? How about this is like you could stack this on top of it. You could make the same product acoustically, just with better materials, and scale the price up just with better feeling materials, and see if people would buy it.
The thing is, that's why I said iconoclastic rather than testing. I would want to just try making it legitimately, how I think it should be done, right? Like, so something that is a truly budget design for the budget prices, something that is a fairly budget design for the $200 prices. I think it'd be really interesting. Now, tautologically, that would imply using like a driver that was either off the shelf or either a very cheap to produce planar driver or a fairly premium dynamic driver, and you'd have a boatload of compromises. But it'd be really interesting to see how people dealt with that.
I actually have some of the thought process on that. I think what you're describing is kind of where Hi-Fi Man is ending up, even if they started the more traditional route. Because as an example, this is the Aria Unveiled, right? They're going down eventually they might have the HE 400 SE Stealth Unveiled. I don't know. Like, you get the idea, right? This is not worse than the HE 1000 Unveiled or the Susvara Unveiled. It's just different. It's slightly. So, but it's, I imagine, significantly less expensive. So yeah, they've definitely started off doing it more that traditional like Halo approach, but I feel they're ending up there where they have stuff that is the cheap stuff that, but by all accounts, the sound signature is pretty similar across the board.
I respect Hi-Fi Man, and if they could fix their general build, both from a QC standpoint and from a ergo/fit standpoint, I would be extremely positive about Hi-Fi Man.
Yeah.
Like, I think, well, and also if they never again made a closed headphone, holy fuck.
Yes. Yep. And I don't like the wireless stuff they're doing either. To me, that
no, really, they should stick to their core competencies.
Yeah, and just refine that.
and get more competent at that.
I will say, and we can get into news or get into the impressions here for the unveiled Aria. The it
Honestly,
is a
do you want to just go right into news and impressions?
we can
Like,
unless anybody.
I think
Sure.
you're good, Blaine. Okay, Cameron?
I'll be
Cameron?
back in 2 secs. Go for it then.
Cameron and I are going to do a
Man, Sex 2 just dropped.
What are you talking about?
It's the sequel.
He said he was coming back in 2 secs.
Yeah.
Got it.
So they've consistently improved the traditional hi-fi man dip with these unveileds. I think that's the trend, and that's great. This is, for 90% of it, one of the best hi-fi man planar headphones. Where the 10% of it that is worse is the 5 kilohertz region. It's just not
always that with the REA.
Well, no, actually. So this is where, and in our joint review, it's gonna be difficult to express the nuance of this and have it land, because the reality is that, like, would I choose this over, I don't know, the default sound signature over a Sundara? I don't prefer the default sound signature over a Sundara, for example. But with one adjustment, just this one trick, the treble performance above 5 kilohertz is the best they've ever done. It is so good. And that's why it's kind of a shame that the 5 kilohertz, the excess 5 kilohertz, is more egregious than what you get on something like a HE1000 unveiled or a Susvara unveiled, right? It's almost because of how good the rest of the treble above it is that stands out. So for anybody who's doing EQ or willing to get into that, this is possibly the best out of all of them, including the original Susvara. Like, it has that mid-range is just bang on.
So we haven't released our measurements of this yet.
No, we haven't. I'm waiting for Cameron's because I want to.
And I've only heard what Hi-Fi Man has told us was a pre-production unit. I'm gonna go ahead and co-sign what you said, that for anyone looking to do EQ, that is probably the best headphone currently available in terms of price to performance.
Yeah.
Because for many, I think it's likely to be more comfortable than the headphone I'm wearing now. For many people, not all of them, because it has a suspension strap. It might vary even less across heads.
Yes, extremely consistent. Yeah.
Which you'll see when we do publish our measurements, but it is very consistent. And it has more bass extension and is, I don't know if the word is more leak tolerant, but you're more likely to get more bass in more situations.
Oh, because the resonance frequency is low. Yeah.
Yes.
Low acoustic output impedance.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But for me, the key thing really is the rest of the treble above 5 kilohertz.
Oh yeah. No, sorry, I didn't touch on that. But yes, I also agree with your assessment that, like, of Hi-Fi Man's current ovoid shaped designs, besides that 4 or 5 kilohertz thing, it is probably their smoothest.
Yeah, it's and it's okay, this is what the people want, but it is the most detailed, because it is the least kind of, like, I don't know, problematic, like, as far as, like, resonances or whatever else, right? I find it to be the most revealing, unveiling, pun intended, because of how good the rest of that treble is. And it's rare. Like, it doesn't have, as soon as you fix that one issue, it doesn't have timbre issues or anything else that you might associate typically with, like, some of the more modal, undamped Hi-Fi Man planars, which this is by all accounts. There is a scrungle as well with this particular unit, which is that one of the channels has a bit of excess at around, like, 3 to 4 kilohertz as well, and I don't know if that's intended. So I'll get to the bottom of that. Try to at least.
One of the 2 units we measured at Dallas had the same issue.
Had the same issue, yeah. So that I think that's the only other real criticism I can give of this headphone, and I'm trying. That's what we try and do here. But the undamped nature of this design and the more modal nature of this could make it so that you could have some unit variation in that band as well. I mean, you could in across the board, but that band is where I've seen it.
Blaine, your noise gate's opening.
Yeah, sorry. That's a very loud motorcycle or a car on the road beside me.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, normally it hasn't actually been bad all day, but just now that guy was being himself.
The other thing I was going to say about this is I kind of wish that this had that like bass feature that the Aria Organic has, because that would make it even more perfect. But if you're already going to do the EQ, right, like it's pretty good.
So I want to just address something in chat because while Cameron is gone, because otherwise I'm going to forget. Vale said it's trickle-down marketing when referring to like starting with a high-priced product. I do think that that's slightly cynical, particularly in an industry as novice as this one. Like a lot of times companies start with an expensive product because making a cheap product is really, really, really hard. Like ZMF, well, I guess ZMF has never gone down market. All right, let's say DCA. The Ether was probably about as cheap of a product as DCA could have opened with, realistically.
Well,
like to make the Eon, I think you
the
have to
Bocas
make
are less
the Ether.
expensive, I think, right?
It's
How-
$1,000.
I mean, yeah, that's not south
Compared
of
to
where the
$3,000,
Icon
though.
started. Well, yeah, but the first things they made were $1,000.
Oh, yeah,
What I
that's
mean
true.
is like some people they start high and then they expand in both directions. And it's a lot easier to make, a $1,000 product because you can do shit like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have CNC milled parts." And it's like, okay, well, I'll put some CNC parts on my fucking $100 product, and then I'll go out of business. Like you can be much worse at it and still get a good result. So I kind of see like I don't want audio to get completely intolerant of that in a sense. Like, I think we should really just holistically assess, is this a good product or not? Not say, oh, you could have potentially done this cheaper, because you can always do it cheaper. But the question is this one particularly worth it to you? And hopefully for companies, they'll take stuff down market as best they can.
I will say, though, that's not necessarily how consumers care about how competitive the product actually is and whether or not it's worth their shekels, right?
Oh, of course, and that's all anyone should ever care about. But what I mean is that sometimes people complain that something could have been cheaper even if it is a strong competitor in its area, right?
And you're saying we shouldn't make that complaint.
I think that you should make that complaint if something isn't competitive. I think if something's
But
the
if it
best
is
that you can
competitive-
get, if something's the best that you can get, then you're just kind of being choosy. Like,
well, this is and that's the thing with a lot of those super high end products, is that even if ultimately they are not competitive, companies often think they are, or they're claiming they are.
and to be
is
clear,
licensed
consumers
for.
should vote with their wallets.
Yeah.
Like, people are way too tolerant of sheer mediocrity in this space. So many products. I mean, all right, I'm gonna just do my weekly putting someone who I love on blast. Sorry, Dimitri, but the Headphone 1 should have sold 0 units.
Oh, because of the weight and the ergonomics.
Yeah, no, that thing is an abomination. Like, and it doesn't sound that good, frankly. Like, yes, it sounded better in some ways than some things.
I liked it. Sounded good to
Okay,
me.
do you like it over other things that were as expensive when it came out that are better
Yes.
built and more level? All right, well, that's
How
just
would-
because you're weird.
That was kind of
Was
the whole
he-
appeal of it, was that it had like an interesting technical thing going on, but
Yeah.
was like half the price of Utopia.
It was like-
and
It was
Safari.
better than an
Yeah.
LCD4. It was.
Oh,
I don't remember
that's
that, but
that's contentious.
Dude,
Oh.
the LCD4s that were coming out at that time were horrific. That was the memory foam era.
Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say the note about like companies not knowing if their own product is competitive, though. Honestly, I think a lot of companies pay way too little attention to what their competitors in the space are doing. There's so many companies which you speak to and you ask about, have you tried an insert main competitor to their product that they're showing off here? Like, no, what's it like? And like, what you never throughout the development of this just tried it once or even Googled it?
Like, to this day, I kind of wonder if the people at Warwick ever heard an HV1 or interacted with one physically before they brought out the Aperio.
They must have.
Because if they did not learn enough lessons about the builds.
Well, they were. Oh, but you mean before they? Did
Yeah,
that,
before
maybe.
when they once it's out, what are you going to do? Say, oh, we fucked up with the build of the $50,000
No, I just
headphone?
know that those guys, they are always about having them.
Yeah,
in the
no,
same
I mean, I like
space
the
at
Warwick
shows.
guys.
Yeah, so they've enjoyed that comparison for themselves. I've watched them listen to it, but I don't know if it like when that started for them. They're interested in that. So
I mean, the same thing with like the bear. And this is a dated ass reference, but the T1. When the T1 came out, it
bright
was
as all hell.
well, yeah. I mean,
But that
T1's
was
a
the
bad headphone on a
competition
lot of
to
levels.
the HD 800. That was
Yeah,
like,
but
those
like
were
if
the
you'd
two.
ever listened to both of them or had both of them in your hands, how could you ever think people would say, "Oh yeah, this is better"?
Yeah, I know. My issue is stuff like this that comes out where I mean, I've shown you guys. This is the Eventho 300. I'm doing a review on it.
I think it's
Their
Eventho.
dynamic Eventho 300.
I think
It's
it's
their
Eventho.
wireless headphone for the people in chat who
Did you say Eventho?
obviously don't know what that is, because why would anyone talk about that headphone?
I believe they say Eventho.
Okay, well, whatever. Well, like Bear Dynamic has fans, right? Like they have an audience for sure. But
Yes,
but
we
this
have
is
just
what I
scared them
don't.
away.
Yeah, they're not in chat. But no, but my point is more that there's a loyal fan base of these products. When I don't know if these people have actually compared them to anything else, and I don't know if the brands themselves have done this. You could never release a product like this, or if you are in charge of it, you can never be happy with that, releasing a product like that if you compared it to any other like similarly priced, decent, like even the Bose regular, whatever the Quiet Comfort is meaningfully better sounding than this. And that's saying something, because those are average at best, and kind of muddy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in general, designers, I don't know if it's just because people know the market is not very good at like getting this information, but it feels like people just don't take design as a serious competitive challenge in audio.
So,
in
but
a lot of
that's a good
cases.
question. Like, what is going on with situations like this, where you have these products that are just like, these are products that are so. I'm not talking about like, the DT990 cult or whatever, right? Or like, not that. These products are ones that are so bad that there is no scenario where anybody would, even the designers, would prefer the sound quality that you get from that over something that is less expensive or similarly priced. And so it has to be that they're just not comparing them, or they're not trying
They're
this
not.
out.
I mean,
You
like,
know?
I think ego's a big problem with it. Like, I don't know if I should say the brand, but there was a particularly bad headphone, and Doug spoke to the manufacturer about it, and their response was basically, "No, we've been doing this a really long time. We know what we're doing. We're not interested in what the competitors' offerings are." And it's like, okay, well, you should probably check and catch
that
up,
was at
because
one of
your
the
headphones are
contests,
bad.
right? Or one of the events.
No, that was a different one.
Oh, okay.
That was the Head Unity, which again I think was a little bit of an ego problem, to be honest.
The Head
but
Unity?
the
It was that like
HED
wireless.
Unity. It was a one of the first lossless wireless headphones, and like
Put
the
lossless on the
build
box.
was
Sell.
really cool. Some of their tech was really cool, but then the sound wasn't great. We found out it was because they said, "Oh, well, we were getting ceiling issues when we were measuring it during development and stuff." So we just took the pinner off and just used it as it was. So their end tuning was not great, but they were like, "Well, we've got 5 different mastering engineers that say this is the best headphone on the planet, so we don't really care."
We got Bob
But no,
Katz in there.
okay, the one that I was actually thinking was Foztex. What was the name of the one with the like kind of weird grill a year or so
The wooden
ago?
one.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I had that here up until recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that thing was bad.
And their response apparently, and forgive me, Doug will have to confirm, but forgive me if I'm misquoting this, but it was basically along the lines of, "No, we've been doing this a really long time. We know what we're doing. We don't really care what competitors are doing."
Yeah.
Which,
they're
to be
just not
clear,
interested.
is based, but it is
Okay.
not good business.
What about this take from along those lines? This is the take that I've come across, which is, if you show them a graph about how their product performs, to say, like, oftentimes it's like after you've done a review, and they are like, "Hey, why did you say this critical thing about our product?" And you show them a graph.
Why you say me good product
Yeah.
bad?
Yeah, and you show them a graph. You're like, "Okay, so like these are the problem areas." They'll immediately go, "Oh, but that's just the Harman target. You know, that's for like the low intelligence, kind of sound
Based.
quality people, right?" So they'll basically dismiss. They'll dismiss the graph for one of two reasons. One is that they either don't agree with the concept of the Harman target and that research. Basically, the idea is, oh, this is just the McDonald's cheeseburger of sound quality. So why would we care about that? That's common. Number two, though, is I think the more interesting one, which is that's a different manufacturer's market research, and so we can do our own.
We
thing.
have our own
We have our
alternative
own
targets.
Exactly. Yeah, and based on whatever, right? And like a good example with this might be, I haven't had this conversation with them, so I'm not saying this is them that have done this, but that video that T plus A put out about how they developed their, I can't remember if it was based on equal loudness contours or what, but basically
Oh,
how
yeah,
they
that
developed
crap.
their yeah. So it's like they have their own ideas about like how to the targets that they want to hit and all that kind of stuff, and they say, well, I don't need to care about the fact that your evaluation was done relative to this. Your evaluation is wrong because it was done against some competitors, other manufacturers' targets. Why would we expect that ours would? We should never expect that ours would be the same because we have our own targets that we're trying to hit.
I
And we've
mean,
done
to
our
be
own
clear, that's
Yeah,
probably
but the
just an
targets they're
argument for
trying to
not
hit
using
suck.
Harmon. Just
I
keep
mean,
using diffuse field.
I can
It is a good
understand that
reason to keep
when
using
there are,
diffuse field.
there are headphone, it's a little bit more of a, it's going for a different tuning, but it's otherwise okay. The problem is when it's got like clearly massive problems, like some enormous peak in the treble or something, then you can't just go, oh, well, we're just using a different target. It's like, what, your target includes a 6 dB, 7 kilohertz peak? What?
Well, but I
Based,
completely agree
again.
with what you just said, listener, as well, where there is value in basically expressing. I think the big problem is that the canonical use of graphs has been with the Harman target as a core part of it.
Yeah.
So
So
anybody
like
seeing the graph
the
will
two
immediately
things you
think,
mention are actually just one thing, which is people manufacturing headphones don't understand the Harman research, which is
there is
really
that.
stupid because
Yeah.
they should
Or-
absolutely be reading that.
They
But-
also
but
don't
if
seem
you
to read
approach-
any of the
I'm
other
not meaning
research.
to like not meaning to try and derail, but I don't even think it's a case of not understanding the Harman research. I think a lot of manufacturers, it's a case of just not understanding headphone measurements, period.
Well, and that's
Well, they
that's
would
the thing I was
understand
gonna
it better
say.
if they read the Harman research.
But hold on though. I actually think that something you said is interesting. Where if you do is more interesting here because if you do present them with, okay, this is, if you have an opportunity, I guess, to coach them through, this is to do with human anatomy. This is a DFHRTF, right? This is how the condition of wearing headphones works for this particular head and ears. Here's how your product relates to that. That might actually get you more traction and the foot in the door with a conversation than, oh, here's the Harman target. Here's how it does relative to the Harman target.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it's as much of an impediment as you say, just it being another
I mean,
manufacturer's target.
fact that I'm
I've
talking
never
about
experienced this, but
you
you
have
talk
to
to
coach them
manufacturers
through it.
way more than I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, oftentimes there is an engineer there who has certain ideas about what good sound should be, and the conversations that you get to have as the reviewer is not necessarily with that person. But I am thinking of specific examples where I've had those conversations with basically there was no practical outcome because I wasn't going to take the video down. but they just wanted to this company wanted to have, and I completely roasted the headphone. It was terrible. But the conversation that I had was with the designer, and this person had very specific ideas about spaciousness and spatial effects, and that's what they were trying to do. And so they said, well, we're indexing for a different kind of sound profile, different targets because of spatial stuff, not the Harman target, because that doesn't consider that.
Well,
So
I mean, it's true. To be fair, that's true, but spaciousness in stereo recordings on headphones is a meme. Now,
yeah,
I do want to say, shout out to Dimitri at Head for being
Mm.
very
The opposite of
receptive
what
to
we're talking
feedback.
about.
yeah.
Well, I mean, he started out with a lot of very strange contentions, but he's just talked to Constantine and I, and as we've gone through things, he's been like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. Or, well, all right, I'm still going for this different thing, but I understand what the complaint is. I wish that all headphone designers were like this.
I agree. He has been the most like receptive to feedback and the most interested in the science from all the engineers who I've talked to, which is great.
Because he's a big
It's
old nerd. I love that guy.
yeah. But then yeah, you talk to other ones and it's like you can't even start to have the conversation about like DMS just did the video on the DT 1992, and one of the things he talked about was how they're very much behind the science or not following the science at all. And I think he's right. But how does he begin to have that conversation with the manufacturer? How do we begin to have that conversation with the manufacturer who just doesn't believe him? It's just not. It's just like, yeah, like they're wrong. These are meant
Well,
for
I mean,
studios or whatever their idea is.
like
Right?
the onus that you have to put on them is to say, just test this, right? Like,
And that's what I'm saying. You have to just say, here's this and here's this.
What's surreal to me is that so few of these manufacturers, like, I've read a few papers and publications from Sennheiser or Bayer about doing preference research, and I know that they have stuff that they don't publish, but it's so weird to me that so many of them are just like, oh, the Harman target just isn't worth our time. I'm like, have you done an internal test on that? Are you just sort of conjecturing that? Why are you so confident in that?
No, those guys may have done tests on that. Like Sennheiser might have. I don't know. They might have their own preference research. But the more
No, I mean
boutique
the
or esoteric
HE1
brand,
is basically the Harman target, but Sennheiserized. Like
yeah,
that's perfectly acceptable.
Well, but also like you can have headphones.
Bayer, like,
Well, I was thinking of brands that are a little bit more on the boutique side where they make products that are a bit more esoteric, where they definitely haven't done any preference research on their own. They've just listened to a K371 and said, my thing has more detail or whatever.
I mean, Yakicho says you guys are overthinking it. They don't care how it sounds. Measure it good and tune it good costs money, and they just want to make money. So just tune it shitty and sell it because people will still buy it. And
in this case, yes. In this case, that's exactly what's going on. I have to believe.
To some degree, that's true. Like there are companies which have consistently put out terrible products, and people consistently buy them, and they'll probably just keep doing that because it continues to work. But at the same time, going back to the original point about people complaining when something isn't price competitive, if you take that approach, you then can't complain when people go, I don't think your product is very good, or I don't think it's worth it compared to the other stuff on the market.
Yeah, but everybody's told them that it's good because they bought it.
Yeah.
Well, and because people are fucking soys at headphone shows. Like, we need to talk about that. That's something that the community could get better at. I've seen people.
What do you mean?
I've seen people who put on a headphone, listen to it, and the person at the booth is like, "What do you think of it?" And they'll be like, "Oh, it's really interesting," and then they'll walk away and start shit talking it.
Yeah, but they'll never take. They'll.
You have to start.
We can't all be blamed and just go like, "What the hell are you thinking?"
Oh no, but you can provide.
Dumbass.
You can provide.
You don't have to be like
criticism
super
without being
brusque about it, though. Like,
I'm not.
I'll give you an example.
Sorry, Blaine. Say that again.
I'm not that. Listen, you've seen me talking to the Warwick guys. I was like, no, I really think you guys need to fix it. Not this is a piece of flaming shit.
Yeah.
I think that the only person I've ever been that direct with was Freddie at Head, and that's because I've talked to him a bunch and I know that he can handle me just being like, yeah, no, your mechanical design is so bad that it legitimately makes me never recommend your stuff.
Base. But no, like there's a way to just not glaze something or not make excuses for something, but still be polite. At CanJam New York 2023, I think they were showing off the prototype of the Meze 109 Pro.
Right.
And I listened to it and I was like, oh, okay, so this is going to be, it sounded terrible. And
yeah,
I was like, okay, so this is going to be like what, around like $200, $300? And they're like, no, we're aiming for maybe 2-3 times that. And I was like, okay, I think that is not congruent to the sound quality or the comfort I'm getting here. And I think if you guys are going to charge 3 times that, you're going to need to do a little better. And then I walked away.
This is the I actually think that is the right approach, like to be like
Well,
feedbacky and critical,
Yeah.
but not like dickish. I don't even know that you needed to walk away, is what I'm saying. You probably could have just
Well,
oh no,
I
no,
mean, he
like
walked.
I was done listening to the headphone. What am I gonna do? Like that was the thing I walked over. I'm not gonna sit
so
there
New
and chat with
Yorker
them
of
for
you. You
10
just
minutes.
This
We
activity
used
is
to.
concluded.
I mean, you could have moonwalked away, kept eye contact the whole time.
Turn
back away
360
slowly.
degrees and walk away.
So
Yeah.
Exactly.
B Ash
Exactly.
has got a sort of slightly different way of framing this question, framed as a spicy take with the chili. Why do YouTubers think that the highly paid and skilled technical engineers at audio companies with all the tools at their disposal can't design and tune the items better than the YouTube reviewers?
Because
I
they
mean,
keep making garbage.
yeah, generally speaking, I'd say, well,
Depends which
when you say
YouTube
highly
reviewers you're
skilled and
talking about.
technical, how is that sort of quantified? Because quite frankly, if an engineer is putting out a product which has something like a massive 7 kilohertz peak or whatever, and they don't even realize that that's an issue, I would question their technical proficiency in this specific area. They may be a
that's the thing.
fantastic mechanical engineer, but that's a slightly different skill set than perceptual
Well, actually, the
relevance and all
best
that
ones
kind of
they
stuff.
usually combo. They have someone who's really good at the mechanical industrial
Yes.
design and somebody who's really good at the acoustic design.
It is also
Yeah.
just easier to criticize than to make the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Like,
the thing is,
For
it's
sure,
very easy to
it's a
identify
way lower
flaws.
barrier.
Yeah. None of us are saying that, like, oh, if we did this, we would make it perfect. Like, that's not
And
perfect.
there are tons of challenges when it comes to the actual production and bringing things to market that you don't consider when you're just making a one-off product. So, like, I've made my own headphones that sound better than, I don't know, many headphones under $1,000, but trying to bring that to market would be
A nightmare.
A nightmare, and also incur challenges where the end result could end up being so much worse. And oftentimes, what the engineer intends and what they end up bringing to market are two different things, and that's where a lot of the challenges lie when it comes to actually production.
Yeah, I think,
but that's
Rob
also
Hawk
why the
has a
feedback
very
is important.
insightful comment.
I mean, think
He
about
always
what.
does.
Hang on. Think about like movies. People could review movies and criticize something that was bad about a movie. It doesn't mean that they have the skill set to go out and make a perfect movie. But it doesn't mean that their criticism of this writing was terrible is at all. So it doesn't mean making movies because a lot of the time that isn't the case. Like a lot of people sort of end up reading into either sort of what reviewers say or what companies say as sort of a battle of superiority in some way, which is not at all what it is. None of us are saying that we are in any way better at what these companies are doing than they themselves are. But it also doesn't mean that either we don't have certain understanding or knowledge that they may genuinely not, as evidenced by some of the stuff that manufacturers do put out. And also, just on the note of sort of equipment and stuff, like, quite frankly, a lot of the time, companies that are developing products like this don't actually have great test and development equipment either. I mean, there's companies I know that have designed headphones using the mini DSP ears.
Yeah.
And in going back to the technical proficiency thing, they may not have even understood why that was a problem.
Yeah,
A lot
even
of them
fairly
tuning stuff
large
by ear, not
firms use
measuring at
rigs
all.
without ears.
But just
Okay,
not measuring
so
at
I
all.
want to say rigs without ears make perfect sense specifically for low frequency stuff. Like, if someone has an earless flat plate in their lab, I'm not going to immediately be like, you are a false engineer.
No, of course
However, a lot of them don't realize why it's bad, and that's really bad.
Yeah, or don't realize why devoting resources to getting a rig that has an ear would be good.
I remember this is a bit of a old thing. I remember. Do you guys when the Nighthawk and the Night Owl first came out? I think it was the Nighthawk. Tyle Hertzens had a bunch of videos interviewing the designer, and he was talking about
Skylar Grey.
Yeah, and he was talking about all the different things that he was like
doing
there.
The way that the camera panned down on Blade as he did that was amazing. Someone clip that.
But there were videos posted, I think, of his his office where he was like working on developing the Nighthawk, and on the wall he had all of the potential competing headphones, and he was testing them against all of them. So he was
look
actually,
how that ended.
But that's my point. So I was like, how? Why did it turn out like this when you had all these other ones that you could compare?
Well, I can tell you why, but oh god.
But that's a scenario where he was doing the comparisons, right? You know what I mean? Like he was actually.
Did you
presumably.
read his fucking
Yes, I
Unabomber
did. I
manifesto?
remember. Yeah. Speaking of pinna, of needing a pinna.
Oh my god. Well, no,
Yeah.
he used a Keymar. Like that's the thing. But he had this idea that the ear had some sort of consistent distortion of headphone response, and he averaged a bunch of headphones to try to figure out the HRTF of the mannequin, basically, because he didn't apparently understand the concept of HRTF properly.
Yeah.
In
Like that's
fairness
one of the
to
reasons that,
him, unless he wanted to measure it himself,
or
there
use one from the
wasn't.
lit.
Yeah, but the ones across the lid vary.
You don't understand how off this was.
I'm sure it was
I actually
atrocious.
think it's still probably accessible. I remember
I would
it's
love
probably
to
got to
see
be
it,
in the
actually.
Wayback Machine.
Oh god.
But I
Yeah.
remember reading that as well, and I didn't know shit all about any of this stuff at the time. It was written in a way that was meant to be compelling. Then I remember Tile kind of tore it to shreds.
HRTF is a social construct.
Well, no, it's a really interesting thing to think about, actually, someone doing that, because like if you did it on maybe a head we're all more familiar with, the 5000 pinna for
Sure.
the Gross head, if you were to do that, you would think that the HRTF has a big peak around 11K, but it actually has a dip. Like
Oh, you
the
mean for how
HPTF
most
consistently produces a peak there for a lot of popular headphones,
for
but the
headphones? Yeah,
HRTF has a dip.
yeah. But this is the is ought fallacy again. This is
Yeah.
yeah. Which we should talk
Anyway.
about. We should get into philosophy.
No, we should
No,
not.
you should talk about the Meze 105 Air that you have on
Yeah.
your desk.
So actually, I have these are not the pads that come with it. These are the Zeos Aris pads, just because I'm testing different pads right now. These also don't
Oh.
work great for it.
Ah.
The ones that work best for it are the of course Dakoni custom pads that have been custom commissioned that you cannot purchase.
Why
Because
even
they
bother testing with those, dude?
because they actually make it great. No, I shouldn't say that. They don't. It's still a bit too bright. They come with these pads. So when Cameron, you and I first heard this at Munich High End, and it was quite warm, punctuated by some treble peaks, right? Like
Yes.
this is not that at all. This is so much closer
Oh.
to the 109. Like it's
Really?
this is significantly better than the one that we heard at Munich High End. So they made some changes. I don't know if it was because of our feedback or what, but they made some changes. This is significantly better. And
That's
it's
good.
no longer this ultra warm bloat thing with
Is that the one that was fished out of the Pelican cases?
no, this one
Oh,
was a
okay.
return from a customer just
Okay.
recently. My issue with it is that so I measured this. Well, I sent you the measurements of this, Griffin, right? There's a channel imbalance with this unit, but it's because of these pads. I measured it in free air. The drivers match perfectly. I measured with different pads, no channel balance issues whatsoever. So whatever was going on with these pads, it might have been that the person who bought it took the pad off and put the pad on incorrectly. So I'm going to retest this. But the biggest issue with the Air, because it does sound a lot quite similar to the 109 Pro, is it has more energy. I would say it is a little bit more tipped up in the bass, which is nice. Quite in a totally nice spot. But it has more excess energy at around 4 kilohertz. So there actually is an inherent driver peak at around 4 kilohertz that seems to exist in free air as well. So whatever pads you decide to put on this product, you should probably try and figure out a way to dampen that or notch it out somehow. That's my sense of it. And I'm going to try and do that because I actually think that this platform is really solid and way better than what I was expecting. Like the comfort is incredible. It's all the good ergonomic stuff from the 109, right? In this same form factor. The baffle's completely different. And I wonder if again they made some changes as a result of the the original sort of like rolling it out at Munich High End and seeing what people thought, because this is just like in a completely different world.
Including just with the original pads that it came with.
Yeah, exactly. This is
Okay.
I'm not talking with. I'm just testing different pads. Like I'm talking default sound signature. So for me, it is still a bit zingy. It reminds me of like some of those Anandas. You know what I mean? Like some of those just with the bass, more of a bass hump. So a bassier Ananda. So, but it has a bit of that, like the ear gain brightness that is a bit too much in certain regions, like 4 kilohertz, particularly. But the rest of the ear gain is there. Like it elevates up to 3 kilohertz just fine, right? So the balance generally is actually nice, and there is a sense in which, because it has more bass, the excess ear gain is not totally unpalatable. But you can hear it has consequences to timbre. So the timbre is not as natural. It's not as smooth, and that's the issue. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at how much better this was than the one that I heard before. I do think there's potential here, but I would not. I wouldn't recommend it over an HD600, of course. That's just, yeah.
Okay,
Or
everyone.
6XX.
Here's why I disagree with everything Andrew just said.
Okay. Go ahead.
To me, it sounds like you put a 560S on a high impedance tube amplifier. Like that 4K, 5K thing is really
you
scratchy
hear?
and annoying.
Did you hear the 4K as well?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's unmissable. It's a huge peak. It's a
yeah.
massive peak. I don't think that I would not recommend this headphone, period, because of that peak. It's a peak that'll likely show up on most people's heads. And
yeah, I'd have trouble recommending it without EQ. Yeah,
I absolutely would not recommend it without EQ. It is probably going to be comfortable for a few people. It definitely wasn't comfortable for me. I find the pads on the 109 and 105 to be a little.
Oh, we're talking about the 105 now. Yeah, I don't like that.
You got to put the Capra strap.
Wait, did you modify that strap?
No. So I actually found that with the comfort on these, the initial clamp is not great for me, but you could do this and it would alleviate.
I always just worry about the headband thing stretching out too much when I do that.
No, I actually think you and I agree. Like this is too bright for me. But my point is that I actually think there's potential here, and that's why I
describe it as mud-fi.
See, and that's what I'm saying is that, like, okay, here's another comparison. What's the Philips Fidelio, the one that has the spiky treble?
X2 or
X1, X2?
No, I think X2 is maybe what I'm thinking of.
X2H.
It reminds me of that, just more egregious in the treble.
Maybe. It's a very different treble. Like the X2 is more of a 5K, 6K.
Yeah, more of a 5K.
thing.
But this also has 5K, 6K problems.
It does. That's what I'm saying. It's not. I don't think it's a very good headphone.
So this is the thing. When I originally heard this, it was so much worse. So much worse.
Yeah.
Like, it was intolerable.
I'd buy it.
Now
I would take a 490 Pro over it, and I feel like 490 Pro does the things that they're going to claim that does well as well, and it's like the same price.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more just happy that they went in they did go in a positive direction compared to how it used to be. This is basically like a worse 109, and for anybody who didn't like the 109, this is just worse. But for people who did like the 109, this is a little bit warmer with similar problems, and one key worse issue, which is 4 kilohertz particularly. But I will say, when doing these pad swaps with and I know this is cheating because nobody has these pads, but the one that we commissioned from the Coney,
the one that you need to contact our support chat and tell them to fund.
Yes, please do that. Where is it? I have it here somewhere. But it
Resolve secret sauce pad.
It's the secret sauce pad that you can't buy.
Resolve sauce.
It's this pad.
No, Resolve private.
This is the pad right here. No, this is the pad. It fixes many of the treble issues. It fixes the dip in the mids, right? So it reduces the treble a bit, fixes the dip in the mids. The bass is the same. The only thing this doesn't fix, unfortunately, is the 4 kilohertz peak. And that is just an inherent driver resonance, I feel. That just, you need to put some damping in there or notch it out with EQ. Because
choose a different driver.
Yeah.
Or choose a different headphone.
That's what I was getting at.
Perhaps a Sennheiser HD 490 Pro.
Yeah.
HD 600.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think the 490 Pro or the MV1 make a bit more sense for the same things that
I don't know, man.
is trying to do.
MV1 is like 6 kilohertz peak of death for me.
I could see that.
Yeah.
But
I like it because I can just notch that out. But not everybody's gonna do that.
Yeah. Is that all for your impressions?
That's this. The 105. Also, how different? You've seen the measurements of this one, Griffin. How different? Let's say we take the average. Cameron,
Not
mute
different.
yourself. Okay, so then this is the expected sound signature.
I would say so.
Okay, so not ideal, but I still think, again, you guys didn't hear the one in Munich.
Yeah, I would be shocked if it wasn't better than the one you heard.
Yeah. So other than that, did I do impressions of the Avento? It's just the worst thing of all time.
You told us it was terrible, but
The worst. It is the worst thing of all time.
I don't know how much chat wants us to talk about.
R0, you did not.
What?
Sorry, I'm talking to someone in chat.
Oh, yeah, that's
what
just
about the one you're wearing right now, Andrew?
It's the FT1. It's very good. I have a measurements post on the forum. The bass is incredible. The mids are good, not great, but they're good, and the treble is less good. The treble is kind of mediocre. It's a bit dark sounding, lacking in ear gain, and there's a bit of a lower treble resonance, lower to mid treble resonance, depending on how you define that. Like it's around 5 to 6 kilohertz. And it's probably just made worse. Oh yeah, lenses. Yeah, it's made worse by the fact that the ear gain is subdued. So if you've kind of balanced out the ear gain, that peak doesn't come across as egregious. But I think this is the K361, K371 killer. I think this is the new default recommendation at its asking price for closeback. And I think it, particularly because the bass quality is so good. And this, I'm not going to say it's the second coming of the AHD 2000, but it is the closest thing to that I've come across in recent memory. So it is very, very good. I think without EQ, a lot of people are going to like this. It's not amazing, though. I think there's better at higher price tags still. But at this price, I don't think there's anything better. So that's ergonomically, I do not like the default pads. They're too small. They're a bit scratchy, but I have big ears, so I put these Yaxi comfort pads on, which are bigger and they're nicer, and I didn't have to really do much. I had to do similar amounts of EQ basically, and then I just in different spots, right? I EQ with these pads. The bass goes crazy. I think I sent you that measurement as well, but the ear gain is better. So it's just similar amounts of EQ, just in different spots. And my only other real complaint is that it does feel a little bit on the cheap side, and there's a bit of a creaking on this side. But this is Doug's unit. I think I'm actually going to buy this from him because I want to take it apart.
Fun. Okay. Well, yeah.
Would I recommend the FT1 over similarly priced wired IEMs? Yes.
Good question.
Yes, because it's not IEMs.
I would agree for basically all of it. It's nice. I feel like I was more positive on the bass quality and texture than a lot of the people that I saw impressions of. But I have
to address this. I have to address this. Iggy says you did it again at this price. What I'm saying is there is potential for there to be better sound quality at any price, and I have come across it at higher price tags. But I have not come across
something you talked about comparing it to was this.
Exactly.
And I think on the whole, you would prefer this.
And that's what it is. So but here's what's interesting. This is for me, and again, due to the fact that I wear glasses, this is not everybody's gonna have the same experience with the Azuris that I do because I wear glasses.
Also because you have a big head.
Yeah, exactly. And the clamp pressure does affect that. But I think the mids and the treble for the Azuris is better. The bass for this is better. That's my takeaway of comparing those two, which I did recently. Without glasses, the bass on the Azuris is a lot more comparable, I think. At least for me. Like, if I take my glasses off, And I've measured this with in-ear microphones too. When I didn't have glasses on, the bass was a lot closer to what it is on the rig. With glasses, that whole lower section actually is like a few dB lower. So
Okay.
that's my sense of it. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'd
I
like
don't
to
remember what I was
crowdsource
saying.
something from chat. Can
What's up?
somebody find me the web archive of the claims on AudioQuest's site for the Nighthawk?
Oh, Jesus. All right. While you guys are doing that, first of all, I'm going to tease a little bit because Doug sent me this. This is the FT1 Pro. I'll probably have a review of this in a few weeks because I literally just received that this morning. As far as what else I received this morning, I got the Azuris that I held up earlier because I'm going to be reviewing this against the Focal lenses, which I've had for a little under a week now. And we're going to talk about this really quick. So this is $150 more expensive than the Azuris. I want to really quick correct something I said that
better,
was
right? It's $150.
I want to correct something I
sound
said on our Discord server, which is that this has different pads. It was marketed as having memory foam pads, whereas the Azuris featured no such word in the marketing. However, I do think after inspecting them that they are the same pads. I haven't got to do any measurements or listen to them swapped on each other's chassis yet. So I could be
Just
wrong
looking at
about
the
the
pads.
internals of the pads, but upon initial instruction, they look very similar, just different colors. Sonically, there is a difference, and I would be very surprised if the difference didn't show up in measurements. I will say they are, for the most part, above 1 kilohertz. It seems identical, but the lenses seems to have significantly less low mid-range and bass, such that if you're familiar with measurements of the Azuris, it's a little bit warm in the mid-range, like a little bit warmer than Harman, and doesn't really have that like 200, 300 hertz scoop that a lot of closebacks do. I get a little bit more of that sense with the lenses, where it might have a more traditional closed-back character there, not to the degree of something like a DT770 or a Meze closed-back, where it just has a cavernous dip there. But I do notice a little bit of more thinness in the mid-range on this headphone than I do on this headphone. And this was brief because, again, I only received this one this morning for comparison. I hadn't heard this since Dallas. But I'm kind of struggling with which one I prefer, because they both have a darkness in the treble that I quite like. And both have, the HRT FE mid-range that is like a necessity for me to enjoy a headphone.
For you,
But
do you feel that on your head you are not getting the peak at 6 kilohertz?
Yes, I don't.
So the clamp
hear
for
that
you
peak.
is
So we're getting there.
More. Okay.
We're getting there. We're getting there. So it's hard for me to choose preference. Now, the first few days of testing this headphone, it was actually a little bit bright for me. And I think it's because I wasn't getting as much clamp pressure as when I first heard this headphone at CanJam SoCal or Dallas, one of the two, where I heard it with a capper strap on it. And the capper strap, obviously you can see it on both of the headphones. Obviously it increases top of head comfort for someone like me, but also when you have a strap like that, and I can't really do this with one hand, but you have a strap like that and you push up on it, the sides come in. So what I find is on this headphone design, which is very sensitive to clamp pressure, the stuff under 1 kilohertz rises as clamp goes up, basically. I find that before, when I was sitting with it on my head, the cups were kind of like flush with the yoke arm here. But now with the capper strap, they are past the yoke arm.
And that's going to make a difference. That's definitely going to make a difference.
It absolutely makes a difference. So where this was a little bit bright for me before, not bright at all now. Like totally, like what I loved about the Azuris treble.
Are you sure it's not driver burn-in?
Anyway, so I'll have measurements by today. I'll take a bunch of them. I'm going to do different clamp pressures. I'm going to like vary the head width of my rig and see how that affects things. I'm also going to test them with the strap on and strap off, I'll try to get to the bottom of that. But right now, I'm sensing this has a little bit less bass and low mid range. And for some of the subjective things, like the sense of dynamics, I actually think that is a boon to this headphone in particular.
Because there's less bass.
That it has less bass and less low
Yeah.
mid range.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's going to make it more preferable to me on the whole versus this headphone. I'll need to spend more time with both, but that's kind of the point of having both, so I can do both and then review them. But everything I like specifically about that headphone, that the mid-range isn't terrible and it's got a darkish treble response on my head, is present in this headphone. It's just there is a minor difference that's probably going to show up in the measurements that you guys should probably consider.
I would very much like to try that as well at some point.
Yeah, we'll have to see, huh?
Yeah.
So like I had to buy this unit for those who aren't
Yeah.
aware. Focal did not send this to us.
This is
It's always
pro
tough
SKU.
getting from a pro division of an audiophile brand. So I loved the Azuris so much and I really wanted to try this, so I bought it on Amazon. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it yet, but we'll have to see.
I'll try. I'm gonna still try and get one in.
You absolutely should. I mean, we still have that iron in the fire, so if and when it happens, it'll happen. But
yeah,
I do quite like the headphone and might even potentially like it more than the Azuris, which the Azuris was my product of the year, so that should probably speak for itself a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance the people who found Azuris too warm would really like lenses, like lenses. They're both competing for the best Focal closed back ever in my mind. So for those who are saying we're price biased, definitely not. So yeah, that's basically it for that. I didn't get to listen to the FT1 because I actually don't have a cable for it. So
which is hilarious. Any other impressions?
I haven't got any recently. I haven't listened to new stuff for the last week or two.
Yeah, nothing really.
There's a bit of news. Is that whole Q-Wave thing? That's
Oh God! All right, I'll let you and Andrew and I have talked for a little bit. It's you and Blaine's turn.
Okay, so I do want to say the way we have this primed in our text, we do want to be very careful about what brand we're associating this with, because it isn't associated with the brand name for the man behind it.
Yeah. So okay. So I'm going to be a little bit careful about what I say just at the moment. But basically, Mark Levinson has a new audio technology. The man has a new audio technology called C-Wave, currently only available on one product from Daniel Hertz. And the best way I can explain it is it seems almost like MQA 2.0, but with like high-end audiophile wafflery amped up a bit more.
I think it's so much worse.
I'm going to
Blaine's face. Blaine's face.
I'm going to quickly post some links in the chat just in case anyone does actually want to look into this. 1 second. Okay, I'm posting some links in the chat. And this is something which has been granted a patent, white paper on it, which you can read as well.
We'll grant patents for anything.
Basically,
calling that a white paper is
it's generous. But
I wrote better essays than this when I was applying for college.
Yeah, he claims that the new C-Wave technology fills in the gaps digital files create in audio signals, which seems to harken back to the early days of digital audio when we saw steps in digital signals. And this goes completely against Nyquist's theorem and how all modern oversampling works, and the proven mathematical effectiveness of just normal sync reconstruction, which most DACs do. He fails to explain how this fixes something that actual reconstruction and oversampling doesn't. And it's described as a reverb algorithm, which, whilst it doesn't explicitly state so in the white paper from what I've seen, and I've not looked through the entire patent or watched the entire interview yet, just to be clear, it seems to imply that it's artificially adding some amount of reverb. The bit that kind of really started to go, hang on a minute, what's happening, is that in the white paper, they describe significant health benefits to listeners using this. And this scientific evidence was based on a sample size of 4. which is
from
Real
very big.
science done here.
homeopathic or whatever. Sorry, acupuncturist.
All of the equipment and methodology used was like homeopathic and alternative medicine based stuff. So it's just all a bit weird. I mean, obviously, this isn't in the same league of impact as MQA because this is on one product and MQA was slowly getting onto everything. But like just in terms of the claims being made and the evidence put forward so far, I would be very interested to test this further. I don't know anyone that owns one of these products, and given as it's only on one product, it's probably going to be hard to get hold of one. But it's just I wanted to just bring it up because it made me chuckle a bit, and it seems like it's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist with a lot of homeopathic medicine arguments added in on top, which make it a little more amusing.
It
there's
causes me
not too much
actual
to say or
pain.
like debate about this because it seems on the surface to be complete nonsense. But
I mean,
yeah, it's healing. We've moved past audiophile rocks and now it's healing audiophile algorithms.
I mean, really, you've got to get the electroacupuncturist involved. Otherwise, also, you didn't include my favorite bit from there, which is Mark Levinson claiming, quote, "In 1974, I made the world's first high-end audio component."
Yes, that was an interesting. I don't know how it's a little unclear as to how much Mark Levinson here is basically just the face of it versus actually being directly involved. How much? Not to
I
put
thought
down
Daniel
Mark
Hertz was
Levinson,
like his
but
personal ego project, though.
I don't really know. All I would say is that anyone who really understands how sampled or digital audio works wouldn't be making these claims. And so I
Which
would hope
explains
for
why
Mark
you got a lot of
Levinson's
studio
sake
people to back him up.
a lot of what? Sorry.
A lot of studio people to back him up.
Oh, right. Yeah. But I would hope for Mark Levinson's sake that perhaps he is not the one that's like actually creating this and he's basically just the branding face of it. But we'll have to see whether this shows up on any other products. But
if it does, that's another video for Cameron.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's going to be some more MQA stuff coming because they are trying to revive that. In fact, that's potentially
How
also
many
worth
times
talking
do we
about.
have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, they are relaunching it and seem to be. Let me get the thing up 1 second.
In 2022, Capra made the world's first comfort strap.
Yeah, so they're launching MQA again with as 3 different things. So there's area, focus, and chrono, and also Q2A, I think they called it. Basically, it's just existing MQA exactly as it was, but with each different bit separated out into its own new product. So area is just the Bluetooth codec that we're working on, renamed. Focus is just the MQA encoder that was in DAX, renamed. And chrono is just the existing MQA. Sorry, focus is the MQA encoder that was like previously only by labels, but now they're going to be putting it in ADCs, which is interesting because it means that we'll actually be able to test it without needing to do what I did and publish music. And then chrono is just the existing MQA decoder and renderer that was in DAX already, renamed. Then there's Q2A or D2A, I can't remember, which is they're basically advertising that they can convert DSD to PCM, and that's brand new and magic, which that's been around for a while. And I think in fact, all, as far as I'm aware, ESS and AKM DAX can do that on the fly. And in fact, AKM sells some chips specifically just to do that, which is used in like DDCs and stuff. So, I mean, Lenbrook bought the company for 150K. They've probably made that back already just on like lingering license revenue from MQA. So
Really? You think so?
The MQA was pulling in about £600,000 worth of licensing revenue.
Oh, really?
Previously, yeah, per year. They were spending
I guess
about
products
£4.5
haven't
million, but
I guess those products haven't removed the MQA functionality.
no, and then there's still stuff coming out
still,
which has MQA on it. New topping products and whatnot still support MQA. I mean, to be clear, I spoke to a lot of manufacturers, particularly after the MQA video came out, and it's interesting just how much the agreements varied. I know of some manufacturers that paid quite a hefty amount on a per unit basis in some cases to just put MQA in the product. Some of them, it was a seemingly a deal where they just paid a fee and then they can put it on everything. And then some manufacturers were just basically offered it for free. MQA just wanted them to include it just to expand sort of market share. They didn't have to pay anything.
That makes sense.
So we don't really know. And I think Lenbrook's accounts are less visible than what MQA and Meridian's were, so we probably won't know. But 150K in the scheme of a company the size of Lenbrook, which owns Blue Sound, NAD, PSB, and a bunch of others, isn't very much. So they're probably just thinking if we can make a little bit out of this, or just sell some more Blue Sound nodes because of it, then it's worth doing. So, but once it comes out on some ADCs, I will definitely be testing it.
Fun. Do we want to talk about? I think it's time we should do spicy hour now. Yeah,
let's do spicy hour.
Because also, I was gonna ask, did you guys get to the bottom of? I saw you guys talking in our Discord, but did you guys get to the bottom of the whole like ringing thing with Arda for that?
One second, I just got to feed my cat, and I'll let them go first.
Bring the cat back. Bring the cat back.
She has to eat. She's hungry.
Is that a euphemism?
No, she's literally on the floor, meowing at me.
I don't think we got. So for context, basically, this is in regards to when you look at the CSD for a headphone. Basically, all it tells you is the frequency response. Because for a minimum phase system, you can just directly derive the waterfall plot, cumulative spectral decay, from the frequency response. It carries the same information. Headphones are, generally speaking, minimum phase systems. Some people have pointed to certain measurements of particularly like certain planar headphones, like the LCD4 and certain HiFi-Mans, as having an ortho wall effect where there's a particular frequency, usually about 4 or 5K, which lingers longer after everything else.
Which are breakout modes of the diaphragm generally.
Yeah. And I mean, how audible that is one question. But also
are the claims, just the claims about that, is that this is emblematic?
Well,
this is a thing inherent to all planars, or is it just those specific ones?
I don't think it's inherent to all planars. It definitely shows up on a couple from different manufacturers. But the interesting thing is that when you do the calculation for the CSD in RU, it shows up. When you do it in ARTA, which, as I think Blaine said, the guy that makes that literally invented that.
No, that's burst decay.
Oh, the burst decay. Okay,
well, sorry. Invented wavelet burst decay, at least an algorithm for it, which is the one that I consider to be the correct one, and he's the first one to publish a paper on it. But yes, what
doesn't show up in ARTA.
Yes. So this is something that I've been hammering on quite a bit. You can make a lot of visuals happen with because let's think for a minute about what a CSD is, right? Because the burst decay is a little bit more complicated. But what a CSD is basically a series of frequency responses, right? This entails a lot of potential problems. You have to window each of those things. Your windowing function affects both the frequency, the frequency resolution is impacted by the length, but also the actual shape of the artifacts from your window are a function of your window shape. So if you think about it, with a normal headphone impulse response, we have a super long window, right? Like we have plenty of space on either side. With the CSD, we have to take a whole bunch of tiny, tiny little slices. So the window function meaningfully changes the response in the band of interest, right? You can't just have a window that's stopping you from having an instantaneous transition where you're starting from like zeros. This is so fucking dry. Are you sure people want to know about this? Anyway, the TLDR of that is there is, on the Edition XS that Resolve measured, there appears to be both a small wiggle in its group delay, a large boost in its distortion, and for some visualizations of cumulative spectral decay or burst decay, some apparent retained energy in that area. You put those things together, and it's probable that that is behaving in a non-minimum phase way, and we know that it can be non-minimum phase because it is both non-linear and, given that it has excess group delay, also time variant in that band. But this also serves, in my view, as sort of an exemplification of why it's very annoying to do this sort of stuff with waterfalls, because I can take that same plot, and I did actually, and just futzed with the settings in ARTA and made it go from, oh, looks like there is a big hump of energy, and it's very wide in frequency, to, oh, there's nothing here at all.
Well,
and that's
my bigger issue with it is there's literally a peak there. how do you know what you're hearing isn't just the peak?
Well, no, that's the thing. A lot
There's
of the
not
time
a substantial peak.
there isn't a substantial peak on that one.
Wait, there isn't?
No,
Not
that's
at the
the point.
frequency of interest, no.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
But
it's raised overall, but it's not raised relative to other things next to it that don't have the same distortion or
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah,
time
the bit
wibbles.
that's interesting though is that in both of the measurements I've seen for this on the Grass one and the 5128, although it is the same headphone, it shows up at basically where it would make sense to show up if it was effectively harmonic distortion itself being factored in sort of incorrectly. But like the highest bit of the response is about what 3K, and it's got somewhat
Yeah.
higher harmonic distortion there, and then the thing is at 6K.
Oh.
No, it's not.
Isn't it not?
The thing is at more like 4 to 5K.
Okay, no,
I
but
was
look
thinking
where the
4.5K.
distortion peaks. Look where the distortion peak. I could have.
So wait, you're saying it could be a
Distortion might be
multiple of the
0.25.
it could be a multiple. It could be a distortion product.
I'm basically saying that I think it's a weird way in which a higher level of harmonic distortion at a particular region is actually showing up in the CSD plot. But I have a slight suspicion that actually it's harmonic distortion from about 2.5K.
And for
thing
those
is-
headphones, that would make sense because it is quite high in what, like
Yes.
round 2 something, right?
It's no, so
the
it's gonna
peak of the distortion is at the frequency where we see the resonance.
yes.
Okay.
So that's what I experienced on my unit, which is that around the 4 to 5 kilohertz ringing that you see on the CSD plot, there's a correlated distortion right at that frequency, not at the, I guess,
Not
multiple
a root of
ringing.
it.
Yeah.
It's a root.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think it's that. I mean, I think this is just what we're seeing is a driver that has a substantial modal resonance, and it's one that we're seeing create significant nonlinearity. The fact that, as said, you can make it visible or not visible depending on the parameters of the. And I did actually do one of the ones in in Rue where you can see it apparently decaying normally and then undecaying again, just because you can futz with the settings, and then you end up with an odd appearance. Because
I did the
nature
opposite
of
with a measurement of
waterfalls.
the HD 650, where a headphone that nobody talks about ringing. I made it look
created
very
a
ringy
visualization.
in Cameron's chat.
So
I mean, what we're talking about here is an inherent flaw of the way that short-time Fourier transforms are working, right? Or in the case of wavelet, it's less sensitive to this, but it still happens.
But the bigger problem is people are using this as a smoking gun for planars have ringing, and also time domain shit matters.
Yes.
And that, failing to recognize that you could create this visualization for a completely different you could create the smoking gun artificially, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's not really what's happening here, to be clear. Like,
Yeah,
it does
I mean,
here, this
there is a
behavior is
problem.
actually occurring.
Here there is an actual problem. I'm just saying
Yes.
that people are going to use this as, this is the proof that, hey, it's not all just frequency response and blah blah blah, right?
So I will note that the audibility of a resonance that and there's also the question of peaks. Oh god, this is so fucking dry, man. Okay, well, how much audience have we lost already? Oh, we lost Cameron already.
He's out.
Okay, so ringing is proportional to Q, right? It's magnitude in Q. So something that has a higher peak for a given.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hello. Also, someone in chat noted that Arta is now freeware. I just like to take a moment to say thank you to Ivo Matelian for like 20 years of developing a generally freely accessible audio measurement software. Before Rue was a thing, people were doing stuff with Arta. So I really appreciate it. I learned a lot from reading his work.
I just want to mention something. So there's some distortion peaks here. The main two peaks are at 5.3 kilohertz and 4.85 kilohertz in like the region where the wonkiness was. Remember those, but if you look lower down, there is a distortion peak at 2.8 kilohertz, 2.35, and then also one at 2.6. If you then check on the waterfall graph, the ones in that region itself, so 5.8 or whatever it was, is not where it shows up. What the main one is at twice the value of the one
Twice.
below, 5.6.
That's what I was thinking.
And
That's
the
what I was
other one is at 4.8. They're twice the value of the ones below, which lends credence to the second order harmonic distortion thing. They're
So
not
there's
at the
a question-
frequency of the ones in that region. They're at the frequency of twice that of the ones below.
So the frequencies that I'm seeing it just using the default setting and burst decay are 5.5 or 5.5 ish.
I get the
and-
biggest at 5.6, but yeah.
Yeah,
And
4.
then 4.9.
Oh,
Okay, I'm getting 4.9. There is another one at about 4.7 actually. And then the 3 distortion peaks down below are 2.35, so 4.7. Second one is
okay,
at
so
2.6.
when you're
And then the third one is at 2.8. So those all line up.
And
the ones above aren't
probably
direct
move this
multiples of that.
discussion to back
Yeah,
into
we
our
should probably do
server.
this later, but it's
So-
just
Yeah.
the thing at 2.3 that you're seeing is the frequency response peak. Like you're seeing a miniature version of the response above that.
Yes, but it doesn't
in-
matter if the distortion level is higher because of a higher percentage-wise or just in absolute
Well-
level. Then the point is that is where the distortion peak is, and then the ringing effect is at exactly twice that frequency, not where we also see a distortion peak in the same area. They're not lining up with the distortion peaks there. They're lining up with the distortion peaks of a 2x multiple of the ones below.
But they are lining up with the distortion peaks, particularly the higher order distortion peak.
I'm not getting that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got
4.6.
some spicy takes in chat.
So this, I just
Griffin
wanted to
with
say
the
one
proximity effect.
thing. The reason that I'm not super sold on this is that, in theory, the impulse response that we should be doing this on in, via Farina should be excluding the portion of the impulse response that is nonlinear, because that will be if you
It
look at
should
how
be.
Farina's method works. So
But
that
then if
would
you look
actually
at how
mean it
Arta
was a
versus
measurement.
Ru is doing it,
Yes, I mean, there's a potential that one of them is calculating this wrong, basically. And
Yeah.
probably the solution would be doing this in MATLAB ourselves and doing our own log sweep and looking at how that actually maths out if we go back to the start. Anyway, so that's
anyway, now
I need to-
now Andrew and Griffin know how we feel sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I need to give us a palate cleanser here, which is
Please.
a take from Rob Hawk, which is, when donning the OG Sesvara, you shout Plesium Maxcelsior. But when adding the Sesvara unveiled to your head, you say, oof, sounds good, but my cups feel so exposed.
I like the addition of the squid among the
Yeah,
peppers.
yeah.
Really, really lets you know he's keeping it honest. Thanks,
Yeah,
Rob.
okay, yeah. All right. Is there an ear for measuring rigs that has hair growing out of the pin? But there should be.
I think that Spicy Hour was a mistake.
No.
No.
It was
Um,
never actually a conscious choice. It was just a thing that happened.
Yeah, it's just what happened when Andrew was doing these solo and he got bored
Yeah.
and needed the chat to spice things up.
Yeah.
So something that came up in chat because Joe is here is we should have him on
Oh yeah.
for a live stream.
Joe?
Yeah, gadgetry tech.
Gadgetry tech.
Oh.
Yes,
Definitely.
good guy. I want him on, so we're gonna do that.
Um,
Biggest
I
scam
completely
of
forgot his name for the
2024
entirety of Can Jam and thought it was Tommy for some reason.
you're a terrible person. How could you
Biggest
forget, Joe?
scam of 2024 is the false hype created by manufacturers and a few YouTubers on bone conduction drivers based IEMs having magical sound. So I
The
think
same is
he's
true with what's the wafer one?
MEMS.
MEMS, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
mean,
that's Tam's
biggest-
fault.
Biggest scam of 2024. No, Tam just says that to piss me off.
Oh, okay.
No, that is
I don't think
specifically
that many
Tam
people
trying to
would have
piss me off.
bought bone conduction. Biggest scam. I don't think so.
Well,
I mean,
so
okay.
there was a
In
lot
audio.
of hype around the The-Audio Origin, which is
Okay.
a pretty expensive IEM from The-Audio, and I think one or two reviewers hyped that up pretty
The
big.
bone conduction. Wait, I have that
I-
here somewhere.
I
It's
will slightly
okay.
disagree in that I've not tried any of the more recent ones, but like the Mest Mark II, which used a bone conduction driver, I did genuinely get, and it's not possible to know whether this is just placebo or not. It's some
Yeah,
kind of
that's the question, isn't
effect.
it?
It is, but I genuinely got a quite different, I wouldn't necessarily say outright better or worse, but just different sort of spatial presentation is the wrong word. It's really hard to describe because it was a little bit odd, but it definitely had a very different quality to it than what I get on any other IEM, ignoring the tuning in and of itself. So
See,
I don't
know
know
if the tuning can really be ignored. So I had the same experience with the Mest Indigo, but it is very much so not a tuning you find in basically any other line of IEMs. So I feel like people have kind of attributed that sense of space to a non-tuning thing because there is a BC driver in it. But really, it is a unique lineup of IEMs such that we probably should be a little bit more skeptical. Now, there are bone conduction drivers in other IEMs, which, unlike the Mest lineup, seems to make a measurable difference. Like the Origin we're talking about, Resolve knows because he measured one, had a very big spike in the upper bass, lower mid range, which speaks to,
Wibblies.
The bone conduction drivers a lot of people are using are essentially just like rattles that have a bit of moving mass in there that rattles against the surface of something and creates a physical resonance.
But that when I measured that, I did a manual sweep and you don't hear that. And so
we can't measure them very easily though, because the rigs and stuff that we're using, they're not like bone conduction.
They don't have that.
It depends on which one. It depends on what kind of bone conduction driver.
There are other examples where
so artificial mastoids exist, but the thing is bone conduction drivers don't actually sit against any of the bony parts of the human head.
I'll show you my artificial mastoid.
Yes, she conduct on my bone till I drive. Anyway.
There we go. That's the holiday spirit.
To get back to the question though, I don't know about calling it a scam, but I do think if someone is claiming that their IEM is great because it has a bone conduction driver or really any type of driver, you should be skeptical because if they're resorting to that, it's probably because they have to, because they need some way to
should be skeptical in general. Remember, kids, being skeptical is skeptic cool.
I like that moment. That was a good moment.
You can never know that you know.
Well, we can know axioms.
Lone Star Lone Star says, I am disappointed that DSP-based IEMs with apps for tuning EQ to your preferences was supposed to be biggest trend in 2024, but except for Moondrop, no one came with solid offerings, and it's arguable. This is my own. His ended at offerings. I'm adding my own thing here. And it's arguable that Moondrop's efforts were also not good.
Did you say that in the same voice that you were expecting this person to deliver the first part?
No, I was adding the part before, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't doing it consciously, but yeah. This year was pretty disappointing for the IEM market. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
on the subject of DSP ones, it's just because none of them have good software. Like so many companies, even outside of IEMs, like Astel and Kern. There's a lot that I like about how they do their software, but their EQ thing is terrible. Like, there's not even a way to preview what the curve that you're making is. It shows you each band individually, and you swipe left to right to see that band. It's like, okay,
if the Moondrop, whatever the app, I forget the name of it.
Free DSP.
Yeah. Well, no, not for the free DSP. The one that you get with the Dusk.
Oh, right.
Moondrop Link.
Moondrop Link. If that had executed well, like if that had actually done the execution the way that would be ideal, the concept there would have been great. Like the idea was really cool. I believe it was that you and correct me if because I haven't followed this at all, but if they've actually made developments there, that would be good, because the original concept there, I believe, was that you could upload your own custom EQ settings for that IEM and other people could see those profiles.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only update I'm aware of is that it did finally come out on iOS, I think.
Okay. Because yeah, like the I remember trying it out and being like, yeah, it doesn't work. Like this feature just did not work at all when I was initially trying it. But I believe that was part of the concept. But I will say one of the cool things about it is it's very easy to just switch between the default DSP profile, so the new meta style tuning, and Harman. And so people who are like, I don't know what's better, they get both, and that's cool, and they can swap between them.
Yeah, I think there are better ways to do that, and actually, there's one IEM that
Tuning
came out
switch.
recently. Well, and I'm not usually a fan of tuning switches, but Soft Ears
cable.
is releasing a new IEM called the Volume S, which I haven't alerted you to the presence of yet, but you should probably get it in and review it, Andrew, because it is kind of that. It's one of the positions is, as Mark would say, tilted DF like, and the other one is closer to Harman.
So it's shouty.
One of them is. One of the positions is.
All right. Strange men standing in headphone shows distributing brainworms is no basis for a system of evaluation. Not bad. Not bad.
I don't know that it's a spicy take.
No. IEMs should stop looking so colorful and tasty. I don't have kids or anything. I just have poor impulse control.
Respectable.
Santa is real, only in this stream. Blaine, Santa Blaine shows up at your house distributing gifts.
Blaine comes and just takes gifts away.
Yeah, he's more.
I've always identified
this
more
is
with
bad.
Krampus,
You shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all by this information.
Yeah.
JM1DF is
well,
cool.
no, actually, hold on. I identify most with the Santa from Rare Exports. Once again, plugging my favorite Christmas Finnish horror show.
All
Did
right,
you guys
we'll
watch the
we'll
one
watch
with David Harbour? It's a recent one. It's basically like Santa goes on a shotgun rampage, but it's really funny.
Isn't this just the fucking Weird Al song?
What is
the
it
Night
called?
Santa went crazy.
It's a little bit like that. No. It's more like Home Alone and Die Hard mixed together.
I mean, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. So.
No, it's
Die Hard and Home Alone are not really that different at the core of it.
Anyway,
Violent Night. Violent
about,
Night. That's it. Violent Night.
I'm just saying they're both about somebody's in their normal place and then some other fucking criminal bozos bust in and there's a whole bunch of improvised bullshit to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Human Being says JM1DF is cool, but it'll phase out because enthusiasts can't agree it's neutral. Brands won't still use Harman. I think he meant they will still use Harman. And the average person is not willing to learn how to EQ to figure what sound they prefer. Oh, yeah,
I actually think that there is something to this take.
I think so too.
I actually think the biggest threat to like the good tunings, like new meta tunings, let's say, is not so much that people can't agree that it's neutral. It's more that people think they want more bass.
It's that IEM fans have had their tastes twisted and perverted by terrible products basically in perpetuity. Forever.
Right, but the point is more that like, okay, brands will always want to be able to be the thing that has more bass because that's like the lowest common denominator sort of element of goodness in products.
I don't know about that though. I think that's something that is like getting hot right now. Like absolute disgusting gigabass is a thing that like, if anything, this year was not the year of that. It was it was not the year of new meta. It was the year of gigabass.
Gigabass, yeah, no, I know what you mean, but I don't even think it's. I'm not talking about gigabass. I'm talking about inappropriate bass for JM1 bass tunings, which is what most of the JM1 bass products have been. And I don't see brands wanting to walk back from the ledge of too much bass. You know what I mean?
I don't even think it's a bass thing. I think
they want to be able to give the people tons of bass so that people can say, "Oh, this has tons of bass," and then people will buy it because they think bass
no,
good.
I don't really think that's it. And for what it's worth, I don't necessarily think that the amount of bass we see with things like KE4 and whatever is like objectively terrible for JM1 or whatever. Because like that's basically what the sound guy's target is, right?
It's too much for JM1.
Well, so I mentioned sound guys on purpose because what's been really interesting to see is that the Harman target has enough inertia that even when something came out that was tuned completely differently but preferred equally,
like the sound guys.
It just seems like the Chi-Fi brands just are not at all interested in changing up their formula and trying to hit.
Oh, what you're saying
what
is
might be
why
an
do
equally
something
viable
different
target
when it's equally? Yeah, I get. Well, equally, yes. Still ranked higher in Sean's slide.
You're sniffing, but no, but like legitimately, like I think if anything, the issue, as you say, is not with the enthusiasts, but with the brands not wanting to deviate from what they are currently doing.
However, I do think you would see more enthusiasm behind products for the goodness of, like, you would be able to get like an HD 600 or HD 650 style of interest or dominance with a product that was a little bit more sensible with how they approached new meta.
We don't disagree.
New meta and the bass. Yeah. And in that sense, there could be that one product that really makes this take off. And again, I maintain the closest thing we have so far to that is the Dusk default DSP with a slight.
I would say not in terms of its dominance or widespread.
No, I don't. I don't think so either.
I would actually say the Hexa is closer to that, but it still has problems.
I still think, as far as the tuning is concerned, I think that the Dusk default DSP is closer because the treble on the Hexa is quite a bit excess. Well,
I would agree as talking to your point of bass level.
Yes. If you did Hexa bass level with JM1 style mids and treble, that'd be all right.
Yeah, it'd be goated.
Yeah.
Making cheese is more important than making headphones.
Yes.
I don't think that's a spicy take.
Hard agree. That's what I want that's what I want my life to be.
I find it funny people send Duck Bloke, who I think is a reviewer, their expensive IEMs. He applies EQ settings to his personal preference target and then says, out of the box, the IEM was B+ tier. After applying my EQ, it's an S tier IEM. I mean, that's kind of based. Like, just sending it to the guy like, oh, this is trash, but once I EQ'd it, it's great.
B+ tier isn't trash.
Who the fuck is Duck Bloke? Yeah. Wait, this person has like 500 subscribers.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't actually have that much of an issue with that because if it's really comfortable and they're able to achieve, fairly easily a sound profile that they find to be ideal, rejoice. As long as it's not completely awful beforehand. It's just somebody who wants to do EQ. I don't have it. It's like Amir does this, right? Like,
I mean, we do this.
We do this. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Especially if the ergonomics are good and if you're celebrating it for its ergonomics or whatever, right? Like something. Yeah.
Quit Uwu says skepticism is just a complex form of self-gaslighting.
Ooh.
I said it then. I'll say it again. Terrifyingly based opinion. Literally, bro just directly perceives universal truths.
Well, also though, taking shots at Hume, huh?
Okay, but so to be clear, I've encountered a few people who are source amp believers, EQ deniers, who like legitimately hold this opinion that no, and it's not unreasonable people, but it is also they are subscribing to like the kind of funny version of this argument, not the funny version, but like they think it's weird that people doubt their own experiences as much as they do, and they think it's actually a little bit pernicious that people like me, for example, would encourage someone to be skeptical of their own opinions.
No, that I don't think that that's rare. I think that's super common.
I mean, hold on. This is literally just objectivism again. Like
No,
Ayn
but if I
Rand
understand,
objectivism.
no, okay, but that's annoying. If I understand your point correctly, or what you're just saying, you're talking about the people who like they are aware that if they did apply a skeptical lens to this, it would break the illusion. Or are you saying that there are those people, so therefore they don't? Or are you saying there are people who truly believe that that doing so would reveal their experience to be real and universal, and so they don't bother?
I'm not them. I don't know which is true, if not both.
I'm just wondering
All
which one you encounter more here, because I've encountered both. Like more recently on the forum, I've encountered the latter, where people just like, I don't believe you. They won't do the blind or controlled testing to figure this out, but they're just like, I don't believe you straight up. And
The
like,
kind
you
that
change my
refuses
profile
to
picture to a
engage
duck
with the
rabbit?
argument is the more common one.
Sorry, what, Griffin?
The kind that refuses to engage with the argument is the more common one.
Yes. Well, but both are regularly going to refuse to engage with the argument. I'm more sympathetic to the ones who are saying, yeah, like if I approached it with a skeptical lens, it would break the magic of it, and I don't want to ruin that for myself. That's a bit like,
That is the less common one.
that's the less common, but also the more based.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just the hallucination enjoyer.
Yeah, I enjoy the illusion, right? Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean that's I don't know. I feel like there's not really that much to talk about here, but I mean, all right, admittedly, this was reaffirmed to me recently. Whenever that comes up, we should just bring up optical illusions. Very few people will claim that the checkerboard illusion doesn't exist, for example, or that it is an illusory. So, like,
You guys ever do
if
the
you
magic
can see
eye thing
that,
with
so that's if you have an intersection of grids, there will be like scintillating dots on it. It happens with MacBook numpads. Actually, it's very, very upsetting.
Wait.
He's looking at it.
They may have
I mean, like,
revised
yeah,
to fix that. The one that I had in college did that, and it drove me nuts.
Okay, I don't have I just realized it took me way too long to realize this. I don't have a numpad. I'm on laptops.
Yeah.
So hold on.
All right.
Actually, I can't drop the link because I don't have perms in the chat. I'll drop it in our thing, and you guys can drop it if you care to. Anyway, yeah, Night Ray says the looping scale. That's another one. There's a lot of illusions. Anyway,
illusions are fun.
Also, Duck Rabbit. Shout out to Duck Rabbit.
It's so uncommon though, because so many people, like, it's not just that they don't want to. It's not just that there's like the matter of illusions being fun, because people's money is wrapped up in this, and purchase validation is a much stronger force than illusions are fun.
The illusions are part of what makes the purchase fun.
Yes. just rename JM1 to Harmon 2 and it'll become the new universal standard overnight.
Wait, did we do the one about shitting on the water cooler thread?
No, where's that one?
I haven't seen that.
Lone Star said, Headphi water cooler thread, is Headphi water cooler thread members responsible for competing with each other for getting the IEM for any price and making the manufacturer asking exorbitant prices?
I've stayed so far away from that thread.
Okay.
That's
I'm not in the water. I don't think. Okay, I would say yes, but it's not specific to the water cooler thread. This is just a bit of an issue with the community generally. Is that because people are biased by price, and will say that more expensive things are better, and there's a bit of a status element to it, and people wanting to either one-up each other or just are desperate for an upgrade and will convince themselves that a more expensive thing is an upgrade, even if it isn't. This is always going to be an issue. It's nothing to do with the water cooler thread. It's just a concoction of human fallibility.
It's a little to do with the water cooler thread.
Well, it's a little bit of like there's a clustering of it, and it creates.
Yes. Yeah. It's not that they cause that, but they do kind of reinforce it. I do think there's maybe a little bit a shortage of credit given to say that they don't at all affect that. Because I think the
shortage of
water
blame.
cooler thread does actually have
Yeah.
a notable, if not massive, effect on the sales of ultra expensive earphones in particular.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, if they want to do that with their money, that's cool, man. Like I don't.
I think
I'm
they
not
should
gonna
give it to
recommend
me
people do it,
instead.
Well, just make a badly tuned ultra expensive IEM then.
It's on my to-do list.
Thank you.
You can call it the water cooler.
Someone in
Bit on the
chat,
nose.
someone in chat whose name matches mine, but who is not me, says Meze headphones are trash headphones that just look pretty to attract customers. Bad take. Meze headphones are very well mechanically designed headphones with a interesting Art Deco style that almost invariably sound pretty meh for their price.
Empyrean 2.
The Empyrean 2 is the exception there. All the rest of them are pretty bad deals.
Also, you guys should hear how I've modified the 109.
But like, I really have to emphasize, they don't just look good, they are really well constructed. I wish more companies had the level of mechanical design skill that Antonio brings. If the Headphone had that, if the Headphone 2 GT was built like a Meze,
Yeah.
it would slaughter stuff.
Yeah.
Is this weird? Yeah, that's weird. No way.
Never use a chin light.
Yeah, no, I just have it
007.
sitting on the floor. It's my
Never.
partner's like
Yeah.
SADD light, like the thing Blaine was talking about earlier.
Wait, what the fuck is the second D?
Seasonal affective depression disorder.
Oh, okay. I just heard seasonal affective disorder.
Sad.
Sadness.
When you're extra sad.
I just have that year round.
Buying a decent IEM
General
headphone and
affective.
Yeah.
Buying a decent IEM / headphone and using EQ is all you need. There's no point buying anything more high end. Everything you want can be achieved with EQ. So, bringing it back to the Aria Unveiled, you were showing off.
Yeah. This is
Andrew.
a great example of why I don't like that take. There is, if you are going to go really fucking hard into that, like I was having this conversation with Constantine exactly about this, where I was like, look, I can get two headphones to sound pretty close to one another, but like it's really hard to get him to sound identical. And he looks at me and goes, yeah, skill issue. And he's right.
Of course he's right.
But there is a sense in which what this is able to deliver in situ for basically 6K and above, I challenge you to do that, to be able to EQ other headphones to that, because it is extremely difficult to do.
The real challenge is to get something that has the consistency and comfort that has at a lower price with the same level of openness. You're not
and consistency across heads as well. Like,
that's what I mean. You're not really gonna find it. So like,
yeah.
As much as yes, we agree, like you don't need to spend a ton of money to get something that sounds really good. And we don't disagree that EQ is really the biggest difference you can make to the sound quality of your audio device. There is, in a sense, some rhyme or reason to actually spending more to get a high-end headphone, because they tend to have things like, not tend to, but they
can
have better openness, better consistency, better comfort, things like that.
And potentially more agreeable HRTF-iness above a certain, also potentially way worse, right? Like
but I mean, it's more likely it'll be worse by the numbers. But
you can find stuff like that where it is. And actually, this kind of speaks to that one thread on our forum that's got a bit of traction, which is very interesting, where people are talking about technicalities and EQ and driver story and all that kind of stuff. Where I think the initial sort of thrust behind that thread was, as somebody put it the quote was, take a pig's ear and turn it into take a sow's ear and turn it into a silk purse, meaning taking cheap headphones, cheap IEMs, and turning them into the same sound quality you get from like ultra expensive ones. That I think is not the point. I think the point is more that like in many ways you shouldn't want to do that because the ultra high end ones are not necessarily better. I think that's where some of the misconception is, right? Like, would you like in many cases you'd be making them actively worse. Like taking a 650 and trying to turn that into an Imanis would be making the 650 worse.
For most people.
And for most people, but the reason I bring it up is because I think that the bigger thing that this tells us, the fact that you can, in theory, get two headphones to, if you really go into it, you can get them to sound the same potentially. That is just more a signal of it being frequency response that is the there, right? It's not about actually doing that because fuck doing that, you know. Anyway. Let's do one or two more. Yeah, let's do one or two more.
Joseph Kevin Chong is in chat. I just want to say shouts out to Joseph Kevin Chong. He regularly shouts us out on Twitter. He's a good guy.
Okay, excellent.
Thanks, Joseph Kevin Chong.
Yeah.
Okay, if two IEMs have exactly the same frequency graph but sound different, then what's the point of looking at graphs and measurements?
I have never seen two IEMs with exactly the same frequency response graph.
Well, this is I actually think that the bigger topic here is to do with, like, given that non-HRTF related HPTF variation is probably a thing that we need to consider, what's the point of looking at measurements, right? Because they're going to vary in situ for individual people. That right? Like I think that's the concept here, and I think it's worth it's worth answering because I've seen this in response to some of the noises that we've made on this topic. Because it's not anything goes. There are infinite ways that things can sound horrible, and there are fewer ways for things to sound good, and it's worth knowing where that thing falls in relation to good. At a certain point, it becomes about probability, not about, exactly this is how it's going to perform for me. And it's much more like this is likely to be something that I will find palatable. I think that's how we should approach it. The rig heard it like this, and it really liked it. Therefore, it is within this, level of probability. Or the HPTF the variation is low, and therefore it is more likely to sound like that to me. That kind of thing. The other thing too, I just want to note with that is that if two IEMs have exactly the same frequency response on a graph, if that's done on 711, how do I want to phrase this? Basically, there are much easier and straightforward explanations for why it doesn't sound the same. That being, the rig doesn't have the right acoustic impedance, so you can get weird results in the bass that are not as perceptually aligned. Anyway, that's it. Okay. What else? And did we do this one already? An audiophile's worst decision was trying good audio gear, and now he never can listen to shitty audio, while some consumer are happy with shitty headphones. There is something interesting here.
Yeah.
So I've become more aware of this in part as a result of releasing content that is more critical of products where there is a devoted fan base to those products, right? And these are products where it's not just that, like, these are products where I would expect that very few people would actually like them in blind or controlled situations. But I actually think that a lot of, like, there is some there too. The more into this rabbit hole you go, the more likely you are to apply scrutiny, right? So the more you've heard, HRTF matched, good, highly like personalized with EQ to exactly what you like, the more likely you are to be critical of things that are meaningfully different from that, because you're like, this is weird. And where previously, if you had not been, good audio pilled, you would have been like, oh yeah, I like my music.
I mean, ultimately, this is all just a prolonged way to say the comparison is the thief of joy.
Yep.
But it's not just the comparison. I mean, yes, that's part of it, but I think it's the comparison, but also the experience. So, like, I mean, like there is a sense in which like that's true for everything. Somebody who is like super into wine and has tried like the most amazing wines in the world, if they're given fruit juice and alcohol, they're probably not going to have as much fun as somebody who's just like, I just want to get drunk. uh, or I'm trying to think of other analogies. But you get the idea. I think there is a sense in which like the cultivation of, good sound quality makes it so that you are less likely to be able to enjoy anything out there, even if most people are fine with it, and B, you are more likely to apply scrutiny to things that other people are going to find, mostly okay.
Yeah. My issue with this and why I skipped over it was just I don't think it's a spicy take.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody says Rizal just needs LASIK. I've considered it. I am actively considering it for headphone reasons.
Well, then you can write it off on your taxes and maybe get the firm to chip in.
Yeah, potentially.
Although I guess is it free in Canada?
No.
That sucks.
I mean, my prescription is pretty mild, so like it probably wouldn't cost that much. But I don't know how that works really. I've just been told, yeah, you may as well get it. It's not going to be that expensive for you. So yeah, I legitimately would consider it. The problem is that I think I look better with glasses than without. Like, I don't like this.
No, you look fine.
Nobody liked this.
No, I think you look fine.
No, what are you talking about?
No. Glasses allow me to put something else on my face that, like, makes up for the lack of hair.
I don't think lack of hair is an issue.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're saying that. Anything else, guys? I'm done. I'm hungry.
I'm also hungry. I'd say we should.
Actually, I do have a question from chat. Weirdly, someone on Discord texted me to ask you this. VSG of Tech Power Up said,
Never heard of him.
Ask listener who his favorite African dictator is.
And is it Idi Amin?
The most amazing man there's ever been.
I mean, it's got to be Idi Amin, right? Well, who else? He's over here like Nelson Mandela.
Dictator?
That's why.
What?
Famed African strongman Nelson Mandela. Also, I think you're kind of sleeping on Seiko. There's some memes there. And a lot of deaths. And some memes.
A lot of death.
And I guess it depends what...
Wait, Idi Amin is Uganda, right?
Yes. Now, I mean, the correct answer here classically would have been Paul Kagame because of the whole ending the Rwandan genocide thing, which most people were fairly in favor of.
Mugabe. Wait, who's...
I mean,
you're naming all of these bad people.
No, Paul Kagame ended the Rwandan genocide.
No.
I think that's a positive, generally.
I was talking about Andrew, not you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, but are you asking for like who your favorite dictator is? That's
what the question was, I think.
Is it to be the most benevolent or the worst?
Well, I kind of figured that my favorite would be the more benevolent ones.
Or the most interesting, right? Like the ones that like maybe they did something underhanded, or
are we counting the Middle East as part of Africa or Europe or Asia?
Only Northern Africa is part of Africa.
So
it ends at the Suez.
Morocco, yeah.
Syria is not in Africa. Syria is in Asia Minor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun fact, Asia actually comes from the Greek name for that area, for Anatolia.
That makes sense, considering, well, that's where we get a lot of words.
Yeah.
Fucking Greeks, bunch of nerds.
True.
This should have been.
that.
This should have been a drinking stream. It really should have. But Blaine doesn't drink. I think Griffin, you and
I would not be drinking on stream.
We do need to have
You
Adrian.
realize like this is like
Drunken Noise Floor podcast.
even though this isn't like our job exclusively, like this is related to our job, right?
Yes,
it's
but we
Saturday,
should have a drinking.
but
We
we
should
are
have a drinking
technically
stream.
at work.
It's the only way that I can tolerate being a headphone reviewer. Is being quite lit.
You can tell how good a headphone review is going to be by how many bottles are in the background when it starts. Well, we're doing the Ordovina today. I'm stocked up.
I kind of think that would be funny.
I had a thought about doing that with the
So this is
Sundara clothes.
really bad.
I want to do a video on the Sundara clothes, but I have several different similarly unhinged ways of doing it. I'm not sure which one I want to do yet, you know.
I'm still pretty happy with my Ordovina review.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Which, by the way,
It's
if
the
anyone
best.
hasn't seen it, just go search Golden Sound Ordovina -man Ordovina review. It's 30
It's the
seconds
best.
long. So
Yeah, it's a good review.
It's all the time you need.
All right, let's end. Blaine, do you want to do our?
Yes, as always, this stream, including the discussion of and endorsement of various dictators, was brought to you by Headphones.com, your number one source for.
Blaine.
Oh,
It wasn't actually. It was not brought to you by Headphones.
that was brought to you by Blaine.
It was brought to you by Blaine Lacrosse.
Yeah, and his penchant for violence. All right.
Interesting. No, but yes, Headphones.com, your number one source to learn about and buy audio equipment. Headphones, stacks, amps, cables, speakers, pretty much everything on our site, and it has a 365-day return policy with fairly few conditions. Basically, they're just there to stop people from abusing it multiple times, but if you buy something and then ultimately find that it's not right for you, you can get something different from us. And I think that's pretty cool. You should also join our Discord and our forum, with discord.gg/headphones and forum.headphones.com. Talk to us there. Suggest
what if they
topics for the
suck?
stream.
Should they still?
What if they suck?
Yeah. Should we still?
I mean, they should join. We'll just ban them.
Okay.
Like, we're curators.
Right.
I assure you this will not be our last stream, regardless of listener having endorsed multiple African dictators.
Yeah,
This
I
may
can't
be
believe
listener's
this
last
Didn't
stream,
do
though.
that.
Oh no.
So, yes, on that bombshell.
It's time to end, and thank goodness for that. So, Merry Christmas to all, Happy Holidays, and to all a good night.
Night is the correct word. We're gonna end there. Bye, everyone.